Whiskey, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Verizon, and Piazza Auto Group. You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Alongside Hugh Douglas, I'm Joe Giglio, getting you set for the Eagles and the Chiefs 4:25 kickoff out in Kansas City. We'll be joined next segment and throughout the show by Eliot Shorr-Parks, who is, of course, live in Kansas City covering the game. Hugh, this isn't your typical Week 2 game. We not only have a big one, we have a game on the road in Kansas City, a Super Bowl rematch.
I'm still stuck on the announcer saying had a spat with Dallas. That was crazy. That was a crazy way to start that one.
It was spat. How are we doing?
I'm good. I'm excited about this. Here's the weird thing about it. That, you look at this matchup, I think before everything that we know now happened, when you're talking about the healthy team and everything like that, we felt that this was going to be a much better game. It feels like it might be a little one-sided.
Today?
It feels like that might be the case. But I'm not counting on that. I'm not counting on it. It feels like it might be. Let me unpack this.
So it feels like the way things are trending injury-wise, you're saying the Eagles look like they're in the advantage today,
yes.
But you're not counting your chickens yet.
No, I'm not counting my chickens yet, man. And, we're all talking about what Patrick Mahomes wasn't last week and the fact that Travis Kelce took out their receiver, and they look like it's going to be what like Dave said, JoJo Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Who's
not much.
Yeah.
And Tyquan Thornton.
Brown, yeah.
Hollywood's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like the advantage favors us, but I wouldn't be too quick to count the Kansas City Chiefs out.
All right. Here's what I'm trying to. I've been thinking through this all week because I think right now the Eagles look like the better roster, look like the better football team. Hugh, you've been around this. You played for 10 years. We talk about it every year. We start this off. How much of last week, good and bad, is real in your mind? I mean for both teams, right? Because the Eagles, we saw a lot of good, right? In terms of their defense buckled down in the second half. Jahad Campbell looked like he could play. They scored early on their first 3 possessions. So there was a lot of good. There was some not so good, right? Adoree Jackson. I could say the same thing for the Chiefs, right? They got torched on the back end of their secondary. Patrick Mahomes had to run for his life. After 1 week, how much of this stuff is real? How much is it way too early to take anything away?
I know what you asked me, Joe. But I'm going to answer it this way, and you're probably going to get upset.
I am already.
But the only way I can answer that is this. Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over.
He did not, which he usually doesn't.
And he looked efficient. And part of that was because of the way that the Dallas Cowboys decided to play against him. They turned their back on him. And as you know, when you turn your back on the quarterback of his caliber, he has the ability to extend plays or run for first downs. Did a little bit of that. You talk about he had 60-plus yards, 62 yards last week on the ground for 14 carries. That we know Jalen legs work. We know his legs work. Now, the defense played a little bit undisciplined. Now, I can answer your question there. I don't think the defense is going to be as undisciplined as they were last week. That's something that they can build on.
Well, let's start. I mean, you led us there. We have to talk about it. The return today of Jalen Carter. Now, it's kind of weird because when I say that, typically the return, you're thinking the guy was either injured or, maybe he was out for a while.
He was out. He was in timeout.
Yeah, he was in timeout. He put himself in timeout, or the refs had to put him in timeout because what happened early that game last week with the spitting on Dak Prescott. So here the Eagles, I think they caught a break because the NFL decided, if the spitting incident last week happened, I would say in the second or third quarter, I don't think he's playing today. Because they determined he's already been out for a game, right? The fact that it happened before they played the game last week, I think is the reason why the NFL said, you know what? He served his one game. Let's all move on. He's back now. Hugh, what do you expect today from Jalen Carter? Because all eyes are on him, and I think he owes it to his teammates to have a heck of a game today because he put them in a bad spot.
He got
last
a ball
week.
out today. Yeah. He got a ball out today, Joe. He got to let it all hang out today.
Except the spit. We're going to leave that in.
Can't be out there spitting on people.
No, we can't do that. And look, last week, Hugh, I thought their defense really struggled the first few drives against Dallas. I mean, Dallas moved the ball up and down the field, and then they adjusted after halftime. So they get Jalen Carter back. And on the other side, you have a Chiefs team. And Hugh, we've heard about it all week, and we just had a guest on from Kansas City. We'll have another one coming up a little later in the hour today. They don't have their guys out there at wide receiver, which makes you wonder, how do you think Andy Reid's going to attack the Eagles defense? Is it going to be all underneath stuff? I mean, speaking of Jalen Carter and attack, I just noticed the T-shirt you have on today.
Yes.
For everyone watching on YouTube, that's a great T-shirt.
Are we on YouTube
Oh,
now?
we're on YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were wearing it on purpose.
Well, I thought we were, but I was told earlier on. We weren't on earlier.
No, we're on at now.
Okay, well, yeah, that's why I wore it. Then.
Yeah,
I was good. Now I'm good.
I like that
now
shirt.
I'm up to speed with everybody else. Now.
Okay,
I didn't know now I got the rundown.
Yeah. Does it really make that much of a difference we're on YouTube?
Yes, it does.
Why?
It just does. It just
Okay.
It's almost like you got to be on your best behavior because everybody's saying I can't pick my nose and nothing. I can't do none of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
Got to make sure I ain't got no food in my beard and stuff.
Okay.
Just the etiquette is different.
Well, now that you know the etiquette, hopefully the Eagles have proper etiquette when it comes to spitting and how they hit.
Yeah, undisciplined. They played undisciplined last week. Hopefully they play with a little bit more discipline.
How do you think Andy is going to try to attack this Eagles defense? Is it bombs away against Adoree Jackson?
Well, I think it's dink and dunk. I think that this is the thing that I'm going to be interested to see is if there is a concerted effort to try to move Jalen Carter off his square. Because if you can get him out of the game and if you can get him heated, because like as my shirt shows, he has the propensity of putting hands on folks. And a lot of the times they ain't healing hands. So if you can get him in a position and put him in a situation where you can get under his skin a little bit and move him off his square, maybe they try to do that.
Well, they could, and obviously it worked with Dallas last week and got him off the field. They need him today. It's also going to be interesting, Hugh, to see how much we see from Zadarius Smith. The Eagles made some changes. They've changed 7 of their 53 players since the beginning of August. Mm-hmm. Howie's always churning this roster, right? We got a new kick returner, which I expect we'll see today with Tank Bigsby. And then Zadarius Smith. I mean, it's not often you can find a player that has 69 career sacks just waiting to be signed after week 1. Hugh, he's not a nobody. He's a real player.
Yeah. And again, I have to say I was a little bit surprised because last week I didn't think the pass rush was bad.
But was it great?
But it wasn't great.
No.
And it was the first game of the season, and Jalen Carter wasn't out there. So it's kind of telling how Vic viewed his defense the first week of the season. He felt like they needed to go out there and get somebody that's going to help put inject a little bit of life into that pass rush.
Well, if you add the two things together, we found out a couple times over the last 2 weeks from 2 plugged-in reporters, right? Adam Schefter and Jay Glazer. Mm-hmm. The Eagles did indeed make an offer for Micah Parsons.
They were trying to get Michael.
And then they signed Zadarius Smith. So I think it's pretty clear that they didn't feel comfortable.
They're not that happy with the pass rush.
Yeah, they need better edge play. And look, I think Nolan is a player, and I believe in Nolan Smith, but the other side feels like they could use a little bit more. And we'll see how much Zadarius Smith plays today and what they get out of him coming off the edge. I actually thought Josh Uche played well last week. Jalix Hunt was the one they might need more out of. All right, coming up on the other side, we will be joined by Eliot Shorr-Parks, who is live in Kansas City. He'll be with us talking about the spot, the game, and he said all week this is an acceptable loss. Is he holding on to that as we get closer to kickoff? Eliot joins us next. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
It's a long season, but one thing is sure. Birds football is sure to make your heart skip a beat. But that flutter you feel in your chest could also be something else, like AFib, atrial fibrillation, a serious heart condition that needs expert care from an all-pro team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. One thing is certain, all season long, Team Green is sure to make your heart flutter, maybe even skip a beat now and then. Just remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org. Go Birds.
Piazza Premium Automobiles is proud to serve as the halftime sponsor of the Eagles Radio Network as the team drives for another championship. Experience the ultimate luxury in a newer certified pre-owned vehicle from Piazza Premium Automobiles with exclusive brands like Land Rover, Jaguar, Porsche, BMW, Infiniti, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Mercedes-Benz. You are sure to elevate your drive. Find the Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey location nearest you. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutos.com.
At Kitchen Magic, we believe hard work should be rewarded. And this month, we're rewarding you. As a family-owned company, proudly American-made and tariff-proof, we've built a reputation for delivering high-quality kitchen and bath remodels for over 45 years. Now, for the entire month of September, enjoy 40% off installation on every kitchen and bathroom project. It's the perfect time to bring your dream remodel to life with trusted craftsmanship and unbeatable savings. Don't wait. Call Kitchen Magic or visit kitchenmagic.com today.
Hi, I'm Joe Mederchin, PNC Bank Regional President. As presenting sponsor of the Eagles Radio Network, PNC Bank loves an exciting game. But we also think a little boring can go a long way. You see, boring banking means you're doing the right things. That is why PNC leaves a third and long to the professionals. Reliable fiscal strategies are more in our zone anyway. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hugh Douglas here, and everybody knows my favorite whiskey is Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey, especially the new Jack Daniel's Blackberry. Well, you can join me this Saturday for Jack Daniel's tasting and bottle signing at Fine Wine and Good Spirits in Lansdale in Ralph's Corner Shopping Center from 2 to 4. Sample the new Jack Daniel's Blackberry. That's my new favorite go-to drink at the tailgate. And from 4 to 6, I'll be there signing Jack Daniel's bottles for those who want to purchase, taking pics, and talking birds. Go to 94WIP.com for more info. Celebrate responsibly.
The working families of La Una Labor District Council of Pennsylvania, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia are proud contributors to all aspects of growth in this great city. The Labor District Council provides safe, well-trained, productive workers who enable projects to be done on time and under budget. We appreciate our signatory contractors and their commitment to fairness and equality. Laborers, we're building a better future today.
Brought to you by the Laborers District Council Licit Fund.
It's football season. Time to fire up the grill and bring your A game to the tailgate. Whether it's delicious Hatfield bacon to kick off your day or a tender, juicy marinated pork tenderloin sizzling for halftime, Hatfield's got your menu covered for every fan feast. From the coin toss to the final whistle, Hatfield brings bold flavor to every play. Find your game day favorites at simplyhatfield.com. Hatfield, better care, better pork.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
This Eagles season, get in the game at Acme. Enter their Swoop In and Win sweepstakes for your chance to win Eagles tickets, autographed jerseys, helmets, or more. Download the Acme app or visit acmemarkets.com/swoop in and win for more details. Plus, save 5% when you shop on game days wearing your Eagles apparel. Acme makes sure Eagles fans have all their game day needs. Don't miss the football items of the week. Edie's Ice Cream, 2 for $6, or Nestle Ice Cream drumsticks for just $5.99. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Joe Giglio, Hugh Douglas, and joining us live from Kansas City, Eliot Shorr-Parks, as we get ready for a big one out in Kansas City. Eliot, how we doing?
What up? How you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, ESP, did you get some barbecue? You know you got to, when you go to Kansas City, you got to at least try some barbecue.
I mean, so I will be honest, I did not get barbecue yet, but they do have barbecue here at the game, so I'm excited to try it. But yeah, no, didn't make it out for any barbecue, unfortunately.
All right, so barbecue coming up after you're done with us before the game. How about the weather, Eliot? I saw this morning Jay Glazer was talking about it on Fox, the fact that Nick Sirianni is concerned about the heat, 90 degrees or so in Kansas City, so much so that he took it easy on the team on Friday, and apparently they have some sort of like shades they're going to set up on the Eagles sideline.
Yeah.
What's the weather like out in Kansas City?
It's really, really hot. I feel like every time we're here, there's a unique weather. Last time the Eagles played in 2023, it was freezing and pouring rain, and it's really hot. I don't want to compare it directly to Tampa last year, but walking around the outside of the stadium, walking, just to there, you can feel the humidity. It's very hot. Earlier this preseason, I think it was the Jets. It was the final preseason game, or the final one at the Link. The Eagles had staffers hold up, kind of like sun blocking stuff over the players on the bench, and I would expect to see that today as well. So it does seem like it'll be a factor.
All right, Eliot, it's interesting, as we kind of look at all the different aspects of this game, because one that keeps coming up, and you've talked about it a lot this week with us and every show you've been on WIP and your shows, has been the spot, right? The spot of this game. And I think there's two different ways to look at the spot. One, the big picture spot, and then one kind of the narrow and kind of what's going on now. In the narrow, right now, the Chiefs don't have their top 2 wide receivers. That, when the schedule came out, it was like, week 2 at Kansas City. But now they don't have Rashee Rice serving a suspension and Xavier Worthy out for this game. So that's good for the Eagles. But the not good is the spot of the Chiefs being 0-1, Chiefs' first home game, and the fact that they have never started 0-2 with Mahomes and Reed, and they've never lost 3 straight games with Mahomes, which would happen today if you go back to last year, the Super Bowl week 1, and then today. So, Eliot, when you kind of think about everything this week and you kind of put it all in one pot, how do you assess it as we're a couple hours from kickoff, how difficult of a spot the Eagles have in front of them today?
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult spot. I think it's absolutely an acceptable loss. Being out here, at the stadium, seeing the tailgate, just being in Kansas City the past 24 hours, people are really, really excited for this game. I expect it to be a really hostile environment today. And, earlier in the week, Nick Sirianni said something that I've been thinking about, which is they've played in a lot of big time games. They've played in Super Bowls. They've played in Brazil. They've played in a lot of big games. But this is a new team. The 2025 Eagles are not the 2024 Eagles. The 2024 Eagles were operating towards the end of the season at a level that we might never see another Eagles team operate at. They dominated those final 2 games. That is not this team. So going into this spot, we can all say that the Eagles are better than the Chiefs, and they probably are. I think they have a better roster. But the Chiefs need this one way more than the Eagles do. The Eagles can compete today, leave 1-1, and mostly no harm, no foul outside of just the fact you never want to lose a game. The Chiefs' season could essentially be over if they lose today. I heard a stat earlier that something like 450 teams have started 0-2 in NFL history, and less than 10% have made the playoffs. So their season is somewhat on the line today, and that's just not the case for the Eagles.
Well, it isn't. They are up. They're 1-0. Now, I do think, Eliot, with that stat, we'll probably see more of those teams because there's a 17-game schedule now versus 16, where there's a little bit more chance to kind of figure it out. But it's not a great way to start a season, and they're in trouble if they do lose this game. On the menu, sponsored by Hatfield, Better Care, Better Pork. Head to simplyhatfield.com to find a retail location near you. Elliot, you put up a couple tweets this morning. One caught my attention about kind of the environment and a young player like J.L.X. Hunt. One thing we were talking about before you came on, and when we had Dave on last hour for Countdown to Kickoff, is, Elliot, although this is a veteran team, and they've had a lot of spots with Sirianni and Hurts over the years, they've won a lot of road games, this is the first true road test in a while. I mean, they had a home game to start the season. They had all 3 playoff games at home, and then a neutral site in the Super Bowl. They finished at home last year. Elliot, it just feels like a while since they've been on the road, and for some of their younger guys like Jahad Campbell, like Makuba, this is an interesting first test on the road. They're not exactly easing into the road portion of the schedule here.
Yeah, what I'm most interested in today is just seeing how they handle the spot. Again, this is not last year's team, and not just from a roster perspective, but last year's team, you're right about the road thing, but they had played in a lot of big games together. Andrew Makuba, Jahad Campbell, Tyler Steen, Adoree Jackson. There are so many new key parts of this team that have not been tested in this type of moment. And having been here in 2023, playing in Kansas City is really, really difficult. It's loud. The fans are crazy. The Chiefs, do not lose here often. So I do think today it can be if you want to flip that, like a bonding moment for this team. If they can come out and win this game today, that is truly in a season one of those moments where later in the year you can look back on this as a group and say, hey, you know what? We went to Kansas City and we won that game. So whatever situation they find themselves in week 7, 8, 9, whatever, you can lean on it. But the flip side of that is I don't know how they will respond to it. I know Jalen has been in big moments. Obviously, Nick Sirianni has coached in a lot of big games. But let's see how the 2025 Eagles handle this. I think that's the biggest question to me today in this game.
One other thing, off of what Elliott's saying there, Hugh, I think it's a big test for Patullo and Hurts. It's their first road game, right? The communication, getting the play in, because Hugh, you mentioned it earlier. Kansas City is a very loud environment. I mean, the Chiefs are good, so that's part of it. But it's loud.
Yes.
And this is a big test. How quickly Patullo gets the play in. Can Jalen change the play? Can they communicate quickly? Because that could be challenging in that building.
Yeah, and you're talking about last week, the fact that he pointed out, Coach Patullo, that they really didn't have a first 15 or anything like that. So how are you going into this game knowing that the last time that you faced one another, that they made a concerted effort to stop the running game?
Yep.
So how are you going to attack them? How are you going to get them out of that 8-man front that's going to stop the running game? You have to be creative. If you want to go out there and try to get Saquon Barkley involved, you're going to have to start throwing the football a little bit.
All right, coming up, we will be joined. Elliot will rejoin us coming up in a few minutes. We will be joined by Josh Klingler, sideline reporter for the Kansas City Chiefs, as he gives us his perspective on the game. The Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
It's Rhea Hughes. Fall is upon us, and now is the perfect time to head over to Lexus of Cherry Hill for the L-Certified Fall Collection Sales Event. It's much nicer than pumpkin spice. They have over 300 new and L-Certified pre-owned Lexus to choose from. Shop great deals and save with special finance rates on L-Certified Lexus vehicles now through November 3rd. Stop in and see my friend Tony Labello and his team, or visit online at lexusofcherryhill.com. Lexus of Cherry Hill, family owned and operated.
Hey, Joe DeCamera, let's be honest. Shopping for an engagement ring can feel like a lot, like shopping for a used car. You walk in, you don't know who to trust, or if you're getting the real deal or a sales pitch. That's why people turn to Family and Company Jewelers. They're changing the game with full transparency. No pressure, no commissions, and now every piece of jewelry has the price right there on display. No surprises, no haggling. Just real value from our friends at Family and Company Jewelers, doing things right. Family and Company Jewelers on Route 70, Marlton, New Jersey.
Does your home never seem to have enough hot water? With a Bradford White Infinity Tankless Water Heater, you'll never run out. The Infinity Tankless heats as much water as you need, whenever you need it. Plus, they're super efficient to save you energy and money. And like all Bradford White water heaters, they're built to be the best for years of reliable performance. So ask your plumbing professional about going tankless with a Bradford White Infinity Series Tankless Water Heater. Visit BradfordWhite.com today to learn more.
Record numbers of residents are getting quality, affordable health insurance through Get Covered New Jersey. If you recently had a major life event such as marriage, pregnancy, or insurance loss, you may be eligible to enroll now. All health plans include preventive care, prescriptions, emergency services, and more. 9 in 10 enrolling get financial help, and many pay $10 a month or less. Find out if you qualify at getcovered.nj.gov. That's getcovered.nj.gov.
Hey Philly, did you know natural gas is the most reliable and efficient way to heat our homes, cook our food, and dry our clothes affordably? And with PGW, the benefits of natural gas keep on coming. PGW has programs and offers that can make life easier no matter where in Philly you live. From spreading your bill evenly across the year to boosting your home's energy efficiency with rebates, and from year-round payment assistance programs to servicing appliances, PGW's got you covered. Check us out at pgworks.com.
Don't forget to set your lineup.
All right, high-efficiency heat pump, check. Clean air filter, check. New Carrier Smart Thermostat, check.
Don't get sidelined by your HVAC system this season. Your local Carrier Comfort Advisor offers a full lineup of home comfort solutions and convenient financing options to suit your needs. Visit nopaycarrier.com for local utility rebates and to find a comfort expert near you.
nopaycarrier.com.
From Westchester to Doylestown, from Drexel Hill to Lansdale to Philly, we all look out for each other, stepping up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years, and that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you. Learn more at IBX.com.
In Philly, we go all out for what we believe in. And at Lincoln Financial, we're no different. Since 2003, we've been proudly flying alongside Eagles fans everywhere. Since 1905, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and benefit solutions built to last. 120 years in, and just like the birds, we have no plans on slowing down. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2025.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A field goal? That's a no. But a honey butter dinner roll? That's a yes. A 6-pack of abs? Definitely no. But a 6-pack of beer? Uber Eats can get you that. There you have it. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats. Official on-demand delivery partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Order now.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. We'll be joined by Dave Spadaro coming up in a little bit. Eliot Shorr-Parks rejoins us out in Kansas City. And, of course, Merrill Reese next hour as we get set for kickoff. The Eagles and the Chiefs 425. It is the game of the week. And joining us right now to talk about it on the road interview here, Josh Klingler, sideline reporter for the Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Josh, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourselves? This is going to be a fun one again today, I think. Hopefully. Hopefully
we
from
heard
our
it's
end.
kind of hot out there. Though,
yeah, how
Josh.
hot are we talking?
How warm is it?
Yeah, it's low 90s and kind of just muggy, and we had a return of summer. We thought fall was here, but summer returned for the last 3 or 4 days, and it's going to be hot and humid today.
Josh, let's just start with this. How great are the Chiefs at this point? Because it's just been for the last 5-6 years, you almost just close your eyes and you just know at the end of the year they're there. If not in the Super Bowl, at least the AFC Championship game. And it feels like some think, and I think fairly, that might not be anymore, and they lose week 1 on the road in Brazil against the Chargers. Is this still a truly great football team, or is the jury out on that?
I think they were not great in week 1, to be absolutely sure. There's a lot that was left to be desired in that one, and it was from all the phases. It wasn't just a breakdown here, a breakdown there. That was a team that was not in sync yet. It was a one-score game with a Charger team that I thought played pretty good football on that particular day. So, no, this is not a team that's going to be written off. They're going to be there at the very end, certainly in the division and into the playoffs, and they will get better and better. You don't want to peak, obviously, week 1, but they were not very good in week 1. So they need to play much better football today. Offensively, it's a little bit different without Xavier Worthy and continuing to kind of put pieces together offensively to figure things out. And defensively, they have not drawn the headlines over the last couple of years, but really the defense is what kind of propelled them over the last 2 seasons, probably more so than maybe what they were doing offensively. They left a lot to be desired in week number 1. So they have a huge challenge today in Philadelphia from the defensive side of things because they were not happy at all with how they played in week 1.
You know, I know you talk about that defensive side of the ball and how good those guys are and how they need to step up. But what is the temperature of the city knowing that, you know, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have the complement of weapons that he once had?
Well, it's kind of been that case, right? They've had the guys on paper, and then for whatever reason, it kind of falls apart. So it feels like they have them on the roster, but can you then get him on the field? Hollywood Brown was the guy last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got injured early, never kind of saw him again, tried to do something late. You didn't have Isaiah Pacheco for a good portion of the season. Now this year it's Xavier Worthy, the Rashee Rice suspension. So it's getting all those guys going at the same time. You have 2 new offensive linemen on the left side. So I think they knew it was going to take a little bit of time to get going, but it's can they get the full complement ever together on the field once again and see what this offense is truly like, and that remains to be seen. Worthy's not going to play today, but they're hoping he can go maybe next week, but you know, a shoulder issue that maybe one more hit becomes worse than they're saying that it is right now. Rice obviously won't be back for several weeks, and Hollywood Brown's had an injury history. So can they keep enough of the pieces together? Mahomes was great last week, but he can't be their leading rusher. He can't be running around trying to make all those plays. That's not completely sustainable. So certainly the questions they have on offense, there are probably as many of them as there are on defense. Again, these are somewhat penthouse problems, guys. I mean, there are a lot of teams that have a lot of issues going on. I don't think the Chiefs things are not fixable, but certainly there were a lot of breakdowns in week 1.
Josh, let's talk about the other side of football. You mentioned that defense. So I think there's one of 2 ways you could look at last week's game where the Chargers moved the football well against the Chiefs and Justin Herbert had a great game. The first one could be, hey, maybe the Chargers are for real. Great coach, a quarterback that has immense talent, and maybe he's putting it all together, and they had a great plan, and they played well. Or the Chiefs' defense has some holes, and they're not where they have been in years past. When you watched it and you were there, what did you see, and why do you think the Chargers had so much success?
Well, I think the 3 levels didn't seem to have a lot of cohesion from defensive line to linebacker to the secondary. It felt like it was like 3 separate units not playing as one, and that was a little bit disconcerting. Certainly not being able to get to the quarterback has They were a good pressure team a season ago, not a great sack team a season ago, and they wanted to become a better sack team. That hasn't happened, at least early on, right? That's not a team that looks like they're getting after the quarterback as well as they should. Very, very difficult to be able to do that today anyway. They haven't covered all that well from a linebacker perspective, and then right now, for whatever reason, you run a crossing route on the Chiefs, and the quarterback's just got to sit back there and wait because somebody's going to come open. going to be a man-to-man team, and teams have figured out if you're patient and run around a lot, and can buy your quarterback enough time to get open, that there are going to be some seams to take advantage of them. And then they couldn't get off the field on third down in the opener either. So those are a lot of things to try to shore up. I think most of the pieces are there, but it starts with the guys up front. Can they be enough of a problem to make it a difficult day on the quarterback? You got some high-paid guys. You got Chris Jones with a huge pedigree. You got George Karlaftis, who you paid in the offseason. They think they have some health on the defensive line as well, which they haven't had in years past with Charles Omenihu. So you got some guys with some track records that are going to need to step up, and that sets a tone for how this defense can play when they're playing well.
Josh, 68 home games for Patrick Mahomes in his career. They have closed the Chiefs as an underdog exactly once. That was a couple years ago when the Buffalo Bills were 2.5-point favorites. Buffalo won that game. When you saw that, when you reacted to it this week, was it, yeah, that's about right, the Chiefs should be underdogs, or is it a little bit of disrespect and maybe overreaction towards the Super Bowl and Week 1? Your thought on the Eagles being the favorite in this game?
No, a slight underdog I think is probably fair. Look, you need to create chips on shoulders somehow too, right? So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Patrick Mahomes knows that kind of stuff. He never really overtly says it, but he takes all that stuff in and uses extra motivation. So no, but I think it's fair based on the Week 1 performances. Philadelphia played much better than the Chiefs did. Philadelphia dominating in the Super Bowl matchup. We know both teams are different, but you're living off your most recent thoughts. So, no, I think it's very fair that the Eagles are a slight favorite here today. Wouldn't be surprised if it's not a close game one way or the other. But again, the Chiefs are going to have to play a lot better. I think there's no way they could play like they did last week and be in a one-score game with the Eagles.
Josh Klingler, sideline reporter for the KC Chiefs Radio Network. Josh, we appreciate you hopping on. Enjoy the game, and who knows, maybe down the line we do this again for another Super Bowl. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
There he goes, Josh Klingler there. Hugh, it's interesting. Both guests we have on the last couple hours from Kansas City said the same thing, that they think it's fair. It's right that the Eagles are the favorite in this game. Hugh, it's just weird to go into a game where the Chiefs at home with Mahomes and Reed are underdogs. It almost never happens.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at it, and they're both saying it's fair, but you got to get the job done.
Of course.
And I think one of the reporters early on said something about, this Chiefs team has a lot of pride. That's a fact. And for the fact that we know that Patrick Mahomes never lost 3 in a row, he's going to come out firing. He's going to do everything in his power to try to make sure that does not happen today. So they're going to play above their station. This is one of those things I was talking about a few weeks ago when I talk about the pride and how people attack games like this. Pride's going to carry you. And if you could weather that pride storm, you are the better football team. But if you get them in a situation where they come out swinging and they get a couple points on you early, then you just add to that, and that you add fuel to the fire and keep those guys going. So you want to try to snuff that fire out as quickly as possible.
Eliot rejoining us from Kansas City. Eliot, we have 2 guests on, one just there and then one during countdown to kickoff, and both said they thought it was fair and understood and like it made sense that the Eagles were the favorite in this game. I know you had said something earlier this week that if the Eagles pull this off and go there as favorites and win, that the Chiefs, as we know them, are kind of dead. I mean, it does feel like today is a huge mile marker for where these two franchises are. If the Eagles win this game, it feels like you could make a case. It's almost like two franchises going 2 separate directions here.
Yeah, I hesitate to use the term passing of the torch because Eagles did beat them in the Super Bowl. So, you could argue the torch was passed there.
Right.
But if you think about the past few years and you just think of NFL games, I think there was probably no more intimidating game in the NFL than going to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. They win all the time. It's a tough road environment. They've won Super Bowls. But if the Eagles go in there and win today after the Chiefs lost in Brazil last week, they got smoked in the Super Bowl last year, and they weren't overly impressive last year overall, then yeah, I think you look at this and say, if I'm another NFL team, I would rather go to Kansas City than Philadelphia. I would rather go to Kansas City than maybe Buffalo or Baltimore. Like, the Chiefs start to lose their mystique a little. So I think today is a big game from that perspective for the Chiefs as well, of kind of just reminding maybe themselves, but also the rest of the league, we are still the Kansas City Chiefs, and we should still be viewed as one of the elite teams. But especially if the Eagles blow them out, I mean, then you really start to talk about maybe that iteration of the dominant Chiefs are over, the Super Bowl winning one, and maybe we're going to be in for a year or two until the Chiefs kind of ramp it back up and have that second push, kind of like the Patriots did in their long dynasty.
Yeah, and Eliot, the other part that I'm thinking about if the Eagles can pull this off and win today is perhaps they have a real chance to get off to a much better start than some anticipate. I mean, that schedule came out. It was like, all right, the first game is Dallas, and that's a formidable team with Dak Prescott when he's in there. Then at Kansas City, the Rams, who we know play them tough in the playoffs, and then at Tampa. But, Elliot, if they can win today and get to 2-0, I mean, I'm watching the Rams right now struggle with the Tennessee Titans. That's a close game down in Tennessee. And then Tampa Bay, they've only played one game. They'll play Monday night for their next game. But, the chances of the Eagles getting off to a great start just rise if they could get out of Kansas City at 2-0. It's like, when is their first loss? They might get off to a tremendous start.
Yeah, well, and also, and again, it's early. It's
Right.
only been 1 week of the season. We'll see how things play out. But you look at Green Bay. Green Bay looks like they're going to win a lot of games.
Mhm.
And they could be in for a special season. So while how the Eagles play today, of course it matters. It always matters how the Eagles play. But you just want to collect wins and stack wins so that you can keep pace with the Packers. And not to crown the Packers too early, but it looks like they're going to win a lot of games. They have an easy schedule. They're playing at a high level. And the difference between having any potential matchup with the Packers in Philadelphia versus in Lambeau Field could not be more drastic. I mean, going to Lambeau in the playoffs would be extremely difficult versus getting them here where we've seen, if you look at Nick and Jalen and their history together, when they have home field advantage, they've gone to the Super Bowls, or at least, when they only play home games.
Right.
The 2 road playoff games they've played, they've not only lost, they've been dusted in. So I think getting home field advantage is crucial.
So, Hugh, Elliot brought up the Packers there. They're the only team we've seen play 2 games so far, right? Well, them and the Commanders. They're 2-0. They really dominated Detroit and Washington their first 2 games.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because Elliot brought it up and kind of keeping pace with them. The Eagles play at Green Bay Monday night, November 10th. I'm looking at their schedule. There's a real chance they're 6-2, 7-1, or better. Here's who they have. They're 2-0. They have Cleveland, Dallas, Cincinnati, Cardinals, Pittsburgh, Carolina before the Eagles game. That they may get off to a great start. Hugh, how seriously are you taking the Packers right now?
Well, you got to look at them the same way you look at everybody else. It's early in the season, and they are taking advantage of the situation that they're put in. It's going to get tougher as they go through this. Once teams start to lock in and see what they do well and what they don't do well, it could be one of those situations where, you take advantage of the early part of your schedule, and then the latter part of your schedule becomes somewhat of a slog. As I'm looking at it right now, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns are playing. That might not be an easy game, even though Baltimore is winning by it's 10-3. I mean, Cleveland is still hanging around in that game, so that might not be as an easy win as we think it is.
It might not. I mean, look, there's no easy game in the NFL, but I take them seriously. They dispatched the Lions and Commanders, 2 really efficient offenses last year with ease in their first couple games of the season. All right, coming up, we will have Dave Spadaro on with us as we look forward to inactives, who's in, who's not. How much will we see from Zadarius Smith today in his first game as a Philadelphia Eagle? The Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
You've got to see Scott Kia's new location in Limerick, where their focus is on you. Relax with an easy, transparent, and enjoyable car buying experience with a stunning new showroom, a state-of-the-art service center, and a staff that understands your time is valuable and will treat you like a VIP. It's time to experience what a 5-star service truly feels like. They are focusing on you, and that's changing everything. And that's why it's always smooth sailing at Scott Kia of Limerick, just off Route 422.
Just like our offensive line protects our star quarterback, plumbers protect the health of the nation. And Philadelphia Plumbers Union Local 690 is no different. In hospitals, commercial, industrial, and residential, with the best trained plumbers in the world, you can be sure your project is done on time and on budget, no matter how big or small. So when your business needs to build new or expand existing facilities, you can count on the members of Plumbers Union Local 690. Visit plumbers690.org.
Hey, Eagles fans, Verizon's kicking off big savings, scoring a touchdown with low prices locked in for 3 years guaranteed on my plan. Get a single line for a low price of just $50 a month when you switch and bring your phone on unlimited welcome with auto pay plus taxes and fees. It's a deal that'll have you doing an end zone dance. Don't get flagged for high prices. Huddle up at your local Verizon store today. You'll be tackling savings in no time. Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. $20 monthly credit applied over 36 months. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms apply. See store for details.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to drive smarter with high-tech features and excellent reliability. It's time for intelligent design, plus exciting performance. Get a new vehicle you'll love. Check out the Honda Civic, Accord, or HRV.
Contact your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details.
It's a long season, but one thing is sure. Birds football is sure to make your heart skip a beat. But that flutter you feel in your chest could also be something else, like AFib, atrial fibrillation, a serious heart condition that needs expert care from an all-pro team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. One thing is certain, all season long, Team Green is sure to make your heart flutter, maybe even skip a beat now and then. Just remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org. Go Birds.
Piazza Premium Automobiles is proud to serve as the halftime sponsor of the Eagles radio network as the team drives for another championship. Experience the ultimate luxury in a newer certified pre-owned vehicle from Piazza Premium Automobiles with exclusive brands like Land Rover, Jaguar, Porsche, BMW, Infiniti, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Mercedes-Benz. You're sure to elevate your drive. Find the Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey location nearest you. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutos.com.
It's football season. Time to fire up the grill and bring your A game to the tailgate. Whether it's delicious Hatfield bacon to kick off your day or a tender, juicy marinated pork tenderloin sizzling for halftime, Hatfield's got your menu covered for every fan feast. From the coin toss to the final whistle, Hatfield brings bold flavor to every play. Find your game day favorites at simplyhatfield.com. Hatfield, better care, better pork.
Game day just got personal. This season, it's not just about showing up, it's about showing out. And as proud partners of the Philadelphia Eagles, Kendra Scott wants to help you bring your own unique style to the sidelines all season long. Shop exclusive grain and silver jewelry or customize your own look at Color Bar for the ultimate style showdown. Visit your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com today to build your winning look, where team spirit meets personal style.
This Eagles season, get in the game at Acme. Enter their Swoop In and Win sweepstakes for your chance to win Eagles tickets, autographed jerseys, helmets, or more. Download the Acme app or visit acmemarkets.com/swoop in and win for more details. Plus, save 5% when you shop on game days wearing your Eagles apparel. Acme makes sure Eagles fans have all their game day needs. Don't miss the football items of the week. Edie's Ice Cream, 2 for $6, or Nestle Ice Cream drumsticks for just $5.99. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio joining us now. Dave Spadaro, Eagles insider, as we get set for a big one out in Kansas City. Dave, and it's going to be interesting today to see some new Eagles, guys that just got here, and how much they play today. Let's start with Zadarius Smith and what kind of role you envision and think he might have in his first game as an Eagle.
Yeah, he'll be up, and the Eagles will use him, I believe, in pass rush situations. Now, what's interesting about him, he can move inside in nickel, and that's something that Brandon Graham did really well. And it's something that I think people don't really focus on a lot. That inside pass rush is so vitally important, especially against somebody like Mahomes, who can use the pocket to buy time. So I think we'll see him, 15, 20 snaps, third and long, obvious passing situations. Hot day in Kansas City, no training camp. Certainly difficult to get your body ready for regular season football. And then Tank Bigsby will be up. The Eagles will have 3 running backs up with Will Shipley out. It'll be A.J. Dillon, number 2, behind Saquon Barkley, and then we will see Bigsby. But I think Bigsby's potential largest contribution would be on kickoff returns. Eagles think he can be a dynamic kickoff return man. And remember, over 75% of the kickoffs returned in week 1 in the NFL last week. So it is a big play possibility and potential, and the Eagles think that Bigsby can do that. And, one thing to think about with Bigsby and why the Eagles made that trade, Dillon is here on a 1-year deal. So the thing about how you always think about looking down the line, it's not only to help for this year, but the Eagles feel like Bigsby can be a really good running back in Philadelphia, and he's got 2 years left on his contract.
That is a good point. And he's he's obviously cheap because it's a rookie deal where he's on. And he had a good year last year, Dave. I mean, he's not a guy that you hope could play. We've seen it. I mean, he had over 4.5 yards to carry. Yeah.
You know where you look at Howie, you go, okay, where's he going to make a trade? And you go to coaches that are new to a system. generally don't have any allegiance, any loyalty to the players who were taken under the previous regime. And in this instance, Tank Bigsby lost favor in Jacksonville, and he's they drafted a kid and they like Etienne, so the Eagles went in there and got somebody they think that can really help.
Well, and with that, I saw this stat. I think it was Ruben Frank had this stat yesterday or this morning when I saw it. Dave, 7 of the 53 right now, 7 of their 53-man roster wasn't here on August 1st. It is amazing. I mean, Howie always says it, Dave, that it's like a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year thing and improving the roster. But it's one thing to say it. He does it. I mean, this is not the offseason. Like, we're in training camp / the season the last 6 weeks, and they've turned over, 18% of the roster? It's pretty wild.
It's wild, and these are guys who are coming in and playing in pretty significant roles. Fred Johnson comes back and is somebody who will play likely a very vital role. John Mechie has a chance, and I think he'll be on kickoffs possibility as well, and also a key guy on special teams. Sam Howell is your number 2 quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. So it is never over with Howie. He does have draft capital to use, and he's going to use it. And so, let's see how it all develops. Again, I'm calling September Discovery Month in the NFL. We are going to make all these rash judgments after the game today, but the reality is just bank victories and get better and better and find out what you have, particularly on the defensive side of the football. And today, without Dallas Goedert, the Eagles confronted with something a little bit different.
Well, they are. And Dave, let's talk about that. When we were doing Countdown to Kickoff, you mentioned a name that may not be a household name. In fact, as much people love the Eagles here, this one of those names, I'm like, who's that guy? Cameron Latu, I believe his name is. Tell us about him. And, when they lost Van Sumeren on the opening kickoff last week, it felt like, first you felt bad for the kid, but then you wondered, does this really have an impact on the game? How much was he going to play? They used the fullback sometimes last year. How much do you think losing Van Sumeren changed their plan, and what do we think of Latu and the kind of role he might have now that he's here?
Yeah, first of all, they did expect to use the running back, Van Sumeren, as a fullback and kind of reintroduce that to the offense. They really believe that Saquon and AJ like running out of a 2-back set. So I think they'll try to continue that. I honestly, it could be Latu a little bit. He's 6'5", 244, second-year kid out of Alabama. Blocks in line pretty well. Has never been in an NFL game, so that is something that you kind of look at. But he is here to, Jack Stoll was kind of the prototypical role player at tight end, inline blocker, did a really good job. The Eagles weren't able to hold on to him. So Latu comes in here. He's a former 3rd-round draft pick by the Niners, played at Alabama. He's got some skills, and we're going to see him today. And we'll see. I believe that he will be an inline blocker. They can use Fred Johnson as well. But we saw against the Dallas Cowboys in the run game, Calcaterra is improved as an inline blocker, but that is an area where the Chiefs believe they have an advantage. And so you split out Calcaterra, move him off the line of scrimmage, and you put in Latu, and you feel like you're better as an inline blocking group in the run game when you go a little bit heavy. The Eagles last week against the Cowboys, I think they ran 11 plays in 13 personnel with 3 tight ends. So that is a big part of what they want to do, and I think that Kevin Petullo wants to continue that in this game today.
Yeah, Hugh, they got to get the run game going because last week, and Dave mentioned earlier, overall they ran for a good amount of yards, but 150. A lot of that, though, Hugh, was Jalen Hurts, right? And him creating the run game itself. Specifically, Saquon, I would say mostly after that rain delay or weather delay, whatever it was last week, they got stymied a little bit. And last time we played the Chiefs, obviously, in the Super Bowl, it wasn't great. I think we all would love to see that run game with Saquon and the backs really make a move today.
Yeah, and it was also predicated on how the Dallas Cowboys decided to play, especially when you're trying to throw the football.
Yeah.
They turn their back to the quarterback, and you gotta take advantage of those situations. But I think this week, in order to open up the passing game a little bit, you have to be more of a threat in the run game.
But how do you do it? I would expect Spags today to load the box. I really think that is the formula.
Yeah.
That teams
I
are
totally
going to
agree.
load the box. And so how you beating it?
How do you beat it? Well, you still have to stay committed to the run, Dave, but you have to throw the ball. You have to throw the football with a little bit more efficiency. But like I said, going into this game, when you throw the football, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. So you have to have some semblance of the running game, but you're probably going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, to your point.
Dave, one thing when we had a guest on from Kansas City that was mentioned was that last week in Brazil, Kansas City had to put Trent McDuffie outside a good amount, and they like him better in the slot. And, Dave, when he said that and they were kind of in flux where he was going to play, I thought about that bomb to Dotson, Dave, and the fact that he seemed more comfortable in his second year here in training camp. I do wonder today if they have to move McDuffie outside, if we see another shot or a couple plays to Dotson, because he's clearly a talented player. It just felt like last year until the end, it was almost like he wasn't really in sync. Maybe he is now. It wouldn't shock me, Dave, if he makes another big play today.
Joe, he's, to me, one of the, if not the most improved player on this football team. And it comes from having an entire offseason, working with Jalen, going out and working with him between the OTAs and training camp. His timing is there. He's an explosive player. This is a player who is formerly a first-round draft pick, and he is a dynamic player. And Jalen certainly trusts him. And, we've seen in the past Jalen kind of focusing on AJ and Devontae and not really including the third receiver as much. I think that Jahan Dotson can be a really big part of this offense throughout the season, and I would not be surprised, as you said, to see him involved in a big way. Kansas City's secondary is really not that talented. I mean, if they don't get the pass rush pressure, they don't have a lot of back-end big play guys. Jalen Watson's only okay. Kristen Fulton's an okay young player. Trent McDuffie's their stopper cornerback. But that's only one guy, and so the Eagles should have favorable matchups with the other two receivers.
They should, Dave. We appreciate you hopping on. As always, coming up on the other side, we'll check in with Femi Abebefe. You better your bet, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, on the game and the primetime ones this weekend. Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Cozy Jewelers is celebrating 35 years of love, sparkle, and family tradition. For generations, you've trusted Cozy for life's biggest moments. And now it's your turn to step up to the fifth C. Color Cut, Clarity Carrot, and Cozy. As a family-owned business, Cozy treats every customer like one of their own. Celebrate 35 years of quality with Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square, where memories begin and sparkle last forever.
I'm Jalen Hurst here for Window Nation. When I'm on the field, I'm always looking for a window of opportunity. If you're looking for a window of opportunity to replace windows in your home, now's the time.
Replace your old, drafty, cheap, or builder-grade windows, and Window Nation can get the job done in 1 day or less. Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you'll get 2 free. Plus, you won't make any payments for 2 years.
Schedule a convenient in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
September's here, and so are the savings at Hester Chevrolet. Cruise in the fall with a 0 down payment lease on a new 2025 Chevy Equinox EV, just $299 a month, or a new 2025 Chevy Trax, just $259 a month, or lease a new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500 Crew Cab, just $399 per month for 39 months. Visit Hester Chevrolet of Cherry Hill, or check us out online at HesterChevyCH.com. Call 856-400-6397 for details. Together, let's drive. Hester Chevrolet!
Everyone knows champs come from Philly, like the delicious and unbeatable Tasty Cake. Think about it. Mouth-watering candy cakes have a creamy layer of peanut butter filling on top of a delicious cake, all enrobed in a delicious chocolate coating. And let's talk about Crimpets. I like Crimpets. A uniquely shaped, fluffy cake topped with a delectable layer of smooth and subtle butterscotch icing. They're a touchdown every time. Whether you're rooting for the home team in the stadium or at home, make sure you've got only the best treats on deck. Tasty Cake, accept no substitutes.
Jack Fritz here. If your appliances aren't game day ready, my friends at National Appliance Warehouse are the team to trust. Their friendly and knowledgeable professionals will make you feel welcome, and they take the time to listen, answer your questions, and connect you with the perfect appliances. Choose from over 100 brands, comfortably displayed in their massive showroom, all guaranteed to be at the lowest prices thanks to Price Assure. Travel the road to victory to National Appliance Warehouse in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today. And as always, tell them Fritz sent you.
Pico can help you control and improve your business energy usage. Pico helps businesses of all sizes cut energy costs and improve efficiency with financial incentives and expert energy assessments, making it easy to look out for your bottom line. Start saving today. To discover financial incentives and to request an energy assessment, visit pico.com/business. Due to amazing customer feedback, CNC Heating and Air Conditioning is extending their summer financing promotion. No need to wait to replace that struggling system. CNC will install your new unit now, and you can pay later. Right now, qualified customers get 0% financing and no payments until 2027. That's right, no payments until 2027. As York's certified comfort experts, they're the name you can trust, and your estimate absolutely free. Call CNC Heating and Air Conditioning today or visit cc-hvac.com.
You matter, and so does your well-being. If you're facing tough moments, struggling with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, or substance use, help is here anytime you need it. Call, text, or chat 988 for free confidential support. New Jersey's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here 24/7 for you or someone you love, with trained counselors who listen and care without judgment. You matter. Remember New Jersey's 988. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Dear Eagles fans, Toyota's a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL. The Toyota Corolla and all-hybrid Camry make big plays with style and efficiency. RAV4 is a versatile game changer. Highlander's got room for your whole squad. And the rugged Tacoma and Tundra control the line of scrimmage. Visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back. It is the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. And joining us now to look at today's game and across the NFL, Femi Abebefe from the BetMGM Network. Femi, welcome back. How you doing, man?
Hey, Joe and Hugh, Happy New Year to you guys. It's not too late to say that. I know.
No, I mean, it kind of is, Femi.
The home game.
No, he means football New Year.
I know what you're saying, Femi, but it just sounds kind of weird. I mean, I'll let you go with this.
It's Happy New Year, Hugh. It's Happy New Year, man. It's been a minute. I haven't seen you guys since.
Okay, I give you that. I give you that.
Yeah. I hope everyone's going well. We're sweating out some games as we always are on a Sunday. So let's talk some ball.
Well, let's talk about it, and hopefully we're not sweating this one, but my guess is we probably are, considering the point spread is about a point and a half. Eagles, Chiefs coming up 425. Femi, what kind of game do you think we're in store for? Last time we saw these two teams play, the score obviously got into the 60s, some garbage time points by the Chiefs late, but the Eagles put up a ton. Do you think today is more of a higher scoring game or lower scoring game? Obviously the Chiefs without their top two wide receivers.
Yeah, I think it's a lower scoring game. You know, I wouldn't really be too concerned with what we saw with the Eagles defense last week. Obviously, nobody predicts Jalen Carter getting ejected from the game prior to the first play from scrimmage. You know, that was a curveball thrown at everybody there. But I think with Carter back, that Eagles run defense should be much better than what we saw in the opener last Thursday night. And as you mentioned it, Joe, like the Kansas City Chiefs are out two of their more explosive weapons. Rashee Rice, of course, is suspended. He's not going to be back until October. But Xavier Worthy, that offense is much different when they don't have that deep threat. Then it becomes Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, who's not really the Kelce that we saw 5 years ago or so. So I think this Kansas City offense will be a little bit more dink and dunk, kind of what we saw a lot of last year when they were kind of relying on their defense. And for Philadelphia, like, I don't know what the conversation's been like over where you guys are at, but that offense with Kevin Patullo in one game didn't really pass the smell test for me. Now, I'm sure they're going to get A.J. Brown more involved than they was last week, that's for sure. But also, too, it just felt like a lot of the big plays were off of Jalen Hurts' improv, scrambling, moving the chains that way, as opposed to in rhythm and timing. So I actually think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I could see Kansas City maybe slightly winning this one, but I think it's lower scoring. I like the under 47 right now.
Femi, what else is standing out to you? Obviously, we're in a big 1 o'clock slate right now, and a lot of these games are tight. 4 o'clock window, there's some interesting ones, and then we got a primetime game tonight between two young quarterbacks, Minnesota, Atlanta, and then a double Monday night dip tomorrow night. What's standing out based on what's left on the board here, Femi?
Yeah, I like Sunday night. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. That point spread is now down to 3, and we've seen a lot of movement with that game all throughout the course of the week. I mean, this was about 4, 3.5. There's just been so much Atlanta Falcons money. At those numbers, I could kind of understand it. Now that we're at 3, I'm going to trust the better coaching staff with Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores at home in a very tough environment for a young quarterback like Michael Penix Jr. to go into. J.J. McCarthy, of course, he's making his second start. Everyone's kind of talking about that. This is only the 5th start for Michael Penix Jr. I know he played a lot of football in college football, but this is only his 5th NFL start. I think Brian Flores and that defense kind of wins the game for Minnesota. So I'm going to lay the 3 with the Vikings. Their home field advantage is too much for me to justify this being the number against a Falcons team that's kind of middle of the road, and we see, as we saw last week, is always dying to lose a game and make mistakes.
Femi, about 30 seconds left here. Tomorrow night, Monday night doubleheader. I think that Raiders-Chargers game is a fun one. Pete Carroll and Harbaugh renewing that rivalry. What are you feeling on that one?
Yeah, I mean, sir, a lot of people saw the Friday night game. Chargers beat the Chiefs. Oh, here's the Chargers year. I don't think so. I think the Raiders pull off the upset Monday night. Home underdog, divisional game in primetime. Geno Smith, 360 yards passing last week against the New England Patriots. I think indoors in those environments, Geno should have that offense cooking, especially with Brock Bowers expected to play. So give me the Raiders plus the 3.5 and on the money line. I think they win the game outright tomorrow.
Great stuff, Femi. We appreciate it. We'll talk soon. The Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
The Eagles overcame early missteps to get the win on opening night.
So the Eagles overcome some major mistakes.
Now it's a championship rematch in Kansas City.
I'm not in it for participation trophies, all right?
As the Eagles battle the Chiefs. Today's game is sponsored in part by PNC Bank, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, Verizon, NovaCare Rehabilitation, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Deborah Heart and Lung Center, Acme, and Piazza Auto Group. You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon alongside Hugh Douglas and Eliot Shorr-Parks, who is live in Kansas City. I'm Joe Giglio as we get set for the Eagles and Chiefs 425 from out in Arrowhead, a rematch of Super Bowl 59. And this time the Eagles are the favorite in the game by about 1.5. And all eyes are going to be on the Eagles and their offense. Last time we watched this, Hugh, these two teams, it was an offensive explosion. It was a pass game explosion by the Eagles. The Chiefs stacked the box, and Jalen Hurts made them pay. Hugh, how are you feeling right now about the Eagles' passing game as we enter this game? Because I think we all anticipate the Chiefs are going to take a similar approach and make the Eagles' passing game, this time with Kevin Patullo as the coordinator, try to do it again.
I think it's going to be pretty interesting how they decide to get to the passing game. Like I said earlier this week, Joe, I don't think you should force the ball to A.J. Brown. You need to get him involved, but I don't think you should force the ball to him because I think they're probably going to be looking at you to try to do that. We don't know what A.J. Brown's health status is, but you have to be able to throw the football in this game in order to have success.
Elliot, Hugh took us right to the elephant in the room, which is the A.J. Brown targets in the passing game. Elliot, you could look at the pass game two different ways last week. If you want to look at efficiency, completion percentage, great, right? They were 19-23, no turnovers. But they didn't get the ball down the field for explosives beyond the one shot to Jahan Dotson. And Elliott, A.J. Brown going 58 minutes without a target. I never thought I would see that during his prime with the Philadelphia Eagles or any team. What was your take on the pass game last week, and what do you expect today?
Yeah, I don't think the passing game was good enough last week. Obviously, you mentioned the efficiency. He didn't turn the ball over. Those are positives. It wasn't a complete disaster of a passing game. But to have 30 yards with only a few minutes to go in the first half is a failure. To have A.J. Brown only have one target in the entire game and have it not be until a few minutes to go in the fourth quarter, that's a failure. So while Jalen was awesome last week in the way that he was able to run around and make up for things that weren't working on offense, I don't think it was an impressive offensive performance from the Eagles last week. The passing game wasn't good. The running game wasn't good. And in this, the later half of the game, I know it was after the delay, they struggled to score as well. So you look at some of the games around the league right now, Russell Wilson had almost 300 yards passing against that Cowboys secondary in the first half. So, so maybe some ideas that the Cowboys are a better defense than we thought might not be true. And it was just not a good performance from the passing game last week.
Well, I thought Jalen himself played well. I think you and I agreed on this, Elliot. But the passing game itself left a lot to be desired. And I keep coming back to the A.J. Brown thing. He's their number one guy. And he barely was involved. At times I was wondering if he was out there. Elliot, do you think we're going to see a concerted effort to get him the ball early? Or is it another one of those where, like, hey, the game plan is the game plan, and the ball doesn't go his way,
Yeah, it's a thin line to walk because I agree, and I'm sure AJ and everyone else agrees, get AJ the ball. That should be what they want to do today. But the Chiefs aren't idiots. They saw what happened last week. They know the Eagles are going to be trying to get AJ Brown the ball. I heard Spadero talking about the Chiefs secondary, and he's right. They really only have one good player at the cornerback position. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm putting Trent McDuffie on AJ. I'm having him follow AJ all around the field, and I'm daring Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to force the ball to him. Now, from an Eagles perspective, that could be a positive. Not good for AJ in the way that he might not get the ball a ton, but if McDuffie is following around AJ Brown, Devontae's open, Dotson, or at least have favorable matchups, I should say, in against that defense. So it's going to be tough because you want to get him the ball. But again, like Nick Patullo and Jalen should be able to get AJ the ball more than once in an entire game. And, talk about the passing game. Yes, Jalen was not good enough in the passing game last week because he is also involved in what play is run. He has a say prior to the snap of whether that ball is snapped into the play that was called. So we can point to Patullo, we can point to Nick, and they are certainly part of it. But Jalen is a big part of it as well, and he has to find a way to get AJ the ball today.
Here, there's two parts of this, right? Mm-hmm. There's the small picture, there's big picture, there's this game against the Chiefs, but then there's the whole operation for a whole nother season. Hugh, I think a lot of people would say they're probably listening right now like, guys, who cares, right? If AJ gets one catch for 10 as long as we win, and we all agree with that. But Hugh, they got to keep him engaged. He's a wide receiver. He clearly, his performance and his numbers matter to him. We remember what he said after the Super Bowl, right? That it's about the grind. It's about dominating my opponent. This week, when Nick Sirianni shouted him out for his blocking and helping the team, he said he's not in this for participation trophies. I mean, these are things A.J. Brown has said. So that strikes me as a guy that he wants the ball, and I think they got to get him the ball to keep him engaged just for the whole operation here.
I think the thing that we have to understand about A.J. Brown is that he's a fierce competitor.
Yes.
And for him, it's not just about the win. It's about the contribution that he has that helps you get the win. So you have to figure out a way to do both in this situation, because if you can do both, you do two things. You obviously you get the win and you help keep him happy. And I know that might not sound like a big thing to a lot of people, but that's the type of player that he is. He wants to be involved. He wants to feel like he's an important part of that offense, an integral part of that offense. So you're going to have to figure out how to get him involved. But I say don't do it at the detriment of the whole team.
Elliot, is it as simple as throw him the ball on the first drive of the game, like make it a priority, or is it more of just consciously Jalen has to look for him more? Because I if it was me, I would throw the ball to him on the first drive.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to how are the Chiefs playing this?
Right.
Like the Chiefs are expecting AJ to get the ball early, and if they know where the ball is going, or at least where the Eagles want to go with it, that becomes easier to stop. It becomes easier to create a turnover in that situation. So I agree with you. I mean, watching the game last week, I think we were all sitting there saying, just throw it to him. Like whether it's a bubble screen, whether it's just, a quick slant over the middle, get him the ball. And they were not able to do that. So going into the game today, again, it's a thin line. And to piggyback off what Hugh was saying, because I think it's an important point, we all just need to accept AJ really wants the ball, and that's okay. It feels like whenever he says something that's viewed one way, or he doesn't get a lot of targets, we're all like, yep, there's proof he wants the ball. Let's just all accept it. He wants the ball, and that is why he is a great player, and they have to get him the ball. So is he upset at times he doesn't get the ball? Of course, just like Devontae is, just like Dallas Goedert is. Like all these guys sacrifice because of how much they run the ball. So we always single out AJ, and I get why. He's the number one receiver, but let's stop looking for a smoking gun. It's clear for everybody to see. He wants the ball, and that is okay.
Well, and it's been a while since he got the ball at volume in terms of yards. So if you go back the last 6 games, week 1 this year, the whole postseason last year, and then the 2 final games of the regular season, he's only had 1 game in the last 6 over 43 yards. I mean, for a guy like him, he's probably averaged, 75, 80, 85 yards per game in his career. That's half of what he's used to. So it feels like it's been a trend that's going on a while here. The one variable that's changed, of course, is Kevin Patullo. Elliot, we had Femi Abebefe on from You Better You Bet a few minutes ago, and he said, in his opinion, and the people they talked to on his show this week, Kevin Patullo left a lot to be desired first game as Eagles coordinator. What did you make of it? Because that's the new denominator in this year, how much Patullo had a hand in the offense and what it looked like last week.
Yeah, I think today is an interesting game from that perspective as well. The Eagles just played this team, 2 games ago, right? The Super Bowl week 1 and now. So they've just seen the Chiefs game plan, and the Chiefs are tasked with the ones today of bringing something different. And so it's going to be up to Kevin Patullo to have a counter ready. When whatever Spags brings, it's going to be on Patullo to say, all right, we thought you were going to do this. We have this ready. But I would also say, let's not go down the same path we did in 2023. Whenever the offense was bad, it was on it was on Brian Johnson, and whenever the offense was good, it wasn't Brian Johnson. Like, Kevin Patullo's important, and he obviously plays a big role in this. But the offense they run is the Jalen Hurts offense. The plays that are run are the plays that Jalen Hurts mostly wants run. He has the ability to check it at the line. He has major say in the plays that go into the game plan. He has major say, obviously, in what type of offense they run because of the player he is. So Kevin Patullo has responsibilities, and he has things he needs to do. And I think today is a good prove-it game for him. But we can't do what we did in 2023, where whenever the offense is bad, it's like, oh, look at these boring concepts. Like, why isn't Brian Johnson able to do anything? Brian Johnson went to Washington last year, and Jane Daniels looked pretty good. So when the offense is stagnant, when the offense is slow, when you don't like the concepts, Jalen is a major part of that.
Hugh, your reaction to that? He makes up a good point. 2 years ago, offense wasn't great. It was Brian Johnson's fault. When the offense is great, we talk more about the players. What did you think of Patullo last week, and how much is it on him?
Well, you look at the fact that I was surprised that he told everybody that there wasn't a first 15 scripted plays.
That was bizarre.
That was something that me personally never been a part of.
To be fair, they scored on the first 15. They scored on the first drive. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about plays that Jalen has picked, I think there's something to that, but you also have to have play. I think there's something said about the fact that you got plays to get the playmakers the ball. And I think that, that's where Kevin Patullo comes in, because you, as well as Saquon ran last year, everybody's going into the game knowing that was probably your bread and butter. The verdict is still out, whether it's right or wrong, about how good of a passer Jalen is. So I would think that in order to dispel all those rumors and those myths, that you have to start throwing the ball at a more efficient pace.
Yeah, no, they just, to me, they need more explosive pass plays. It's not, we know Jalen's efficient, and his completion percentage has been good for a while now. We know he protects the football for the most part and has for a while now. But when the Eagles are at their best, you saw in the Super Bowl last year and the title game, they create explosive plays. And last week, they had the one, right? The Dotson one. Other than that, it felt like they were 4- and 5-yard passes the whole game.
Yeah, and during the week, this past week, we heard from Patullo, we heard from Nick Sirianni, and they both said it in their own way, which is, we need to take shots down the field. Like, that is something this offense needs to do. And maybe this is a bit of a cherry-pick stat, but I think it's noteworthy. Last year, they were 5-0 when A.J. Brown had over 100 yards. Like, when the passing game is going, when A.J.'s getting involved, they're unstoppable because they have the running game to lean on as well. I know one thing they want to do this year is throw the ball deep more. Last year, Jalen had the 4th best completion percentage when throwing it deep, but was 18th in the league in deep attempts. So you want to see that more, but it is up to Jalen. Again, like, I'm not trying to pin everything on Jalen, but there's the reason he's the franchise quarterback, and there's the reason the quarterback's the most important position in sports. He has to be willing to throw the ball deep, where maybe it's a 50-50 ball and it's a risky one, but you go and give your guy a chance there.
Well, and it will open things up for Saquon Barkley, because we've seen it two full games in a row where they just load the box. And then I think there was like 67% of 8 in the box he saw last week. So you want to fix that, throw the ball down the field more, and hopefully results will follow there. All right, coming up, Merrill Reese will join us from the booth. His keys to the game as we get set for the Eagles and the Chiefs. Live from Arrowhead, this is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Football fans don't just watch the game, they live it. From pregame rituals to postgame celebrations, PNC is proud to be presenting sponsor of the Eagles Radio Network and a devoted fan just like you. Fans who show up in full force in every kind of weather, because keeping your finances boring allows you to make exciting memories full of face paint, tailgates, and all the things that make game day. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hey, Eagles fans, Verizon's kicking off big savings, scoring a touchdown with low prices locked in for 3 years guaranteed on my plan. Get a single line for a low price of just $50 a month when you switch and bring your phone on unlimited welcome with auto pay plus taxes and fees. It's a deal that'll have you doing an end zone dance. Don't get flagged for high prices. Huddle up at your local Verizon store today. You'll be tackling savings in no time. Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. $20 monthly credit applied over 36 months. Sometimes with congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms apply. See store for details.
Chevy trucks have you covered when the road takes you from smooth sailing to Chevy Colorado will eat up some of the toughest terrains with 5 available drive modes. And Silverado and Silverado HD have the muscle to take you out for some serious with multiple engine options and impressive towing. While Silverado EV is the perfect combo of performance and capability, making it a snap to hitch up this electric truck and hit the road. Wherever the road leads, Chevy trucks are right there with you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
Operating engineers are the men and women that move mountains. And the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative, ELEC, puts them to work. They create opportunities for the men, women, and union signatory contractors of Local 825, repaving our roads, keeping our homes bright and warm, and even building our favorite team stadium. We understand infrastructure. That's why ELEC and Local 825 are ready to get to work.
Hugh Douglas here, and everybody knows my favorite whiskey is Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey, especially the new Jack Daniel's Blackberry. Well, you can join me this Saturday for Jack Daniel's tasting and bottle signing at Fine Wine and Good Spirits in Lansdale and Ralph's Corner Shopping Center from 2 to 4. Sample the new Jack Daniel's Blackberry. That's my new favorite go-to drink at the tailgate. And from 4 to 6, I'll be there signing Jack Daniel's bottles for those who want to purchase, taking pics, and talking birds. Go to 94WIP.com for more info. Celebrate responsibly.
The pros know nobody beats FW Web. With extensive inventory, personalized service, and a fleet of trucks across the Northeast, FW Web supports all customers, from one-van contractors to large facility operators. For planned projects, emergency jobs, or maintenance, FW Web has what you need, when and where you need it. For plumbing, heating, HVAC, refrigeration, propane gas, and PVF jobs. With over 100 locations, visit FWWeb.com to find one near you.
In Philly, the field is sacred, the fans are family, and the energy unmatched. And Lincoln Financial gets it. Since 2003, we've stood with the Eagles through brotherly love and brotherly shoves. And for 120 years, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and workplace solutions built to last. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Learn more at lincolnfinancial.com. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2025.
Hey everybody, this is Hugh Douglas, and me and my man Joe Giglio, we're going to break down the Eagles tomorrow from 10 to 2 on WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, and joining us right now, live from the booth in Kansas City, is the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese. Merrill, how are you today?
I am well. It is very, very muggy. This is like a preseason game weather-wise.
You know, Merrill, that came up, the first time I realized that was I was watching some of the Fox pregame show this morning, and Jay Glazer brought up how the Eagles were a little bit concerned about it, and they have some shade on the sideline, and Nick Sirianni, they try to take it easy on the guys on Friday with their walkthrough just to keep their bodies, in a good spot. Merrill, I didn't realize it was going to be as hot. I mean, it's almost like one of those early season games down in Miami or down in Tampa. Like, I wasn't thinking about the heat today.
Yeah, it is definitely in the 90 range, but look, it's that way for both teams.
Well, it is. All right, Merrill, let's get to your keys for a victory today as we hope the Eagles get to a 2-0 start. Merrill, what are you thinking today?
All right, I haven't given this one before, Joe. Do not do anything that results in an ejection before the game or, for that matter, during the game. In other words, play with discipline.
Yeah, and it's not one we usually think about, but off of last week, we certainly need to. And I think it goes for everyone, not just Jalen Carter. They had a lot of penalties in that first half, even the taunting penalty by Nolan Smith. Obviously, the NFL cracking down on that. I like that one, Merrill. Play with some composure. How about number 2?
Number 2, attack the Chiefs secondary. Chargers receivers had a field day in Brazil. Jalen Hurts can attack this with short slants and then go deep to a hungry A.J. Brown.
Yeah, Hugh, last week the Chargers and Justin Herbert, what a group of receivers that's not that great. They had over 300 yards passing. It feels like there's a weakness there.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to take advantage of that secondary as much as you possibly can, Joe. No question
throw
about
that ball. Merrill, how about number 3?
Number 3 is spy Patrick Mahomes and don't let him break outside. The pass rush was prolific on February 9th, but Andy Reid will adjust his scheme.
Well, he will, and Mahomes ran it really well last week in that Brazil game, 57 yards on 6 carries, so we know he can move. Merrill, before we let you go, are you a fan of Arrowhead, the booth, your view? What's it like for you in that stadium in particular?
Well, to be honest with you, it's a great view. You're way, way up above everything, and it's a beautiful stadium. Even though it's an old stadium, it's a well-kept stadium. The only thing that I don't like, and I guess I'm complaining a lot about things like this, but it's totally glass enclosed. We are behind glass and it's sealed, so you can't open a window. It's hot in here, but it's not just the heat. It's the fact that you don't like being detached from the crowd.
Yeah, that's almost like you're in the press box, but not doing your normal thing. Merrill, have a great broadcast. We'll be listening, of course, with you and Mike and Devin coming up in just a bit. Thank you, Merrill.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay, you guys too.
There he goes, the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese there. So the weather continues to come up. Hugh, what are the challenges of a hot 90-plus degree day for all these guys?
Well, it's so early in the season, it has the potential to be to affect you if you're not hydrated enough. I remember telling a story not too long ago or a while ago about how Mike Caldwell, one of the linebackers, when we went to Arizona, we played them early in the season, how he was cramping up and how he was calling for his wife. He was cramping up so bad.
I'm guessing she wasn't on the field.
No, she wasn't there, but he was trying to get somebody to call her because he was cramping up real bad, man. It was a bad day for him. So that's the thing that you worry about because you're going to be out there playing very, very hard and you can get dehydrated very, very quickly. And if you haven't done the things that you need to do the week before, it's not going to help trying to do it the day of. You got to get hydrated. It starts on a Monday, and you got to carry that thing all the way through. So that's how it could affect you if you haven't been drinking enough fluids.
All right, let's go. Elliot's rejoining us here. Let's talk about the defensive side. We spent a lot of time on the offensive side and the pass game. Elliot, the defensive side last week, it really felt like a tale of two halves. I mean, they couldn't stop the Cowboys at all the first 3 drives. But then after halftime, they were better. And they made plays, and they got a turnover, a big one, in the second half of the game. Elliot, you're feeling on the defense we head into this one. And Merrill brought up the idea of spying Patrick Mahomes. It feels like Mahomes' legs are going to be a big factor this game.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've since beaten the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so we don't talk about it as much. But if you remember in that 2022 Super Bowl, Mahomes made a ton of big plays, especially late, with his legs to get first downs where the Eagles' defense had them stopped, and Mahomes was able to go out there and do something. So I do think from a defensive perspective, the personnel the Eagles have match up really well with the Chiefs' personnel on offense. You talk about potentially spying Mahomes. I can't think of a better player in the NFL to have spy on someone than Jahad Campbell, considering his athleticism and his speed at the linebacker position. In the past, they've toyed with Nolan Smith doing that type of stuff. Jahad, I think, is better suited to do it. You look at the Chiefs receivers. This is a matchup that Adoree Jackson should be able to play better in than he did last week. Last week, I think you can give him a pass. It was CeeDee Lamb. It was George Pickens. That is not the players he's going up against. The Chiefs might have the worst set of starting receivers in the NFL this week. So it is a matchup the secondary should be able to win. And then you look at the defensive line. The Chiefs' offensive line is not that good. Jalix Hunt's going up against a tackle this week. That might be the only time all year he lines up from someone he has more NFL experience than. He's going up against a rookie in his second start. Their interior line's not that great besides Creed Humphrey. Their other starting tackle is not that great. So the personnel on the Chiefs' offensive side of the ball is really just Mahomes and Kelsey, and the defense should be able to have a good game today.
All right, Hugh, let's unpack a couple of those things with the defensive guys. Adoree Jackson, Elliot just said it. He's going, I mean, if you couldn't have dreamt up a better matchup, not the quarterback, obviously Mahomes, but the receivers in week 2, right? Like a spot where he could bounce back. Because last week Adoree had I mean, you got shades of those bad Eagles corners from the past. Let's just be honest. Like, you got shades of Nnamdi, you got shades of Byron Maxwell. He was getting torched by 5 yards at a time, separation from receivers. Hugh, do you think today is the day Adoree bounces back? And if not, would you have a quick hook with Ja'Cory and Bennett?
Well, I think that's what Vic is thinking, because he's talking about putting him back out there. So to answer your other question, Joe, are you going to have a quick hook? I don't think so. I think you have to see what you have, and you can't judge him based off of one game. You just got to let him go out there, and you got to let him play. Now, after this game, if he has another bad game, then you start to assess a little bit differently. But I don't think you go into it having a quick hook against him.
Elliot, I'd have a quick hook. If he can't cover these guys, they got to get him off the field. I mean, I know Ja'Cory and Bennett played a little bit last week, and then they said it's going to be Adoree again today. How do you think they'll handle it? Let's say he struggles a little bit early in this football game.
Yeah, I think they'll have a quick hook. I agree with Hugh from like a player perspective. It's not fair to Adoree to go into this and say if you struggle in the first quarter, you're going to be benched. But the reality is the reality. If the Chiefs go into this game and are picking on Adoree Jackson and having success doing it, you have to consider making a change. But we can all sit here and say, put Ja'Cory and Bennett in, put Ja'Cory and Bennett in. Pete Carroll and the Raiders moved on from Ja'Cory and Bennett. Vic Fangio and the Eagles have decided Adoree Jackson is a better option than Ja'Cory and Bennett right now. So I like the upside of Bennett. I think athletically he can do things that Adoree Jackson can't. But we always love the idea of a backup. The coaches are the ones that are making him the backup. So they clearly must have more confidence in Adoree right now. So I don't know if Ja'Cory and Bennett is this fix-all problem that fans think he might be.
Elliot, you mentioned Jalix Hunt there. How do you think the rotation could look today at the edge? So they signed Zadarius Smith after the game last Thursday. He arrived on Friday. And he's not just some guy. I mean, he's got 69 career sacks. He had 9 sacks last season. He signed a contract that gives him incentives to make up to $9 million, which means he and the Eagles obviously still think there's a lot left in the tank. They didn't have a sack last week. Do you think Zadarius Smith is coming here to take Jalix Hunt snaps, or is he just simply a big-name depth piece?
No, I think he could end up being the edge opposite Nolan Smith that's on
the
field in big passing situations. Even in training camp, I saw Josh Uche start to take some of those snaps with the first-team defense from Jalix Hunt. I thought Josh Uche was their best edge rusher last week. He also has a very advantageous matchup this week going up against his former team, by the way. So, I'm sure he'll be extra motivated. But Zadarius Smith, if you just look at skill and resume, he is easily the Eagles' best edge rusher. It doesn't mean Nolan Smith can't reach that potential like today or, the next few weeks and become their best edge rusher. But Zadarius Smith has been one of the top, 30, 25 edge rushers in the NFL over the past 3 years. And Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt have simply not been that. So Zadarius Smith could absolutely step in and be an impact player for them.
Hugh, how do you think it's going to go? I mean, they spent all summers, really touting up the progress of Nolan and Jalix Hunt. But it is telling to me that they clearly made an offer for Micah Parsons, and then after one game, they signed Zadarius Smith.
If you're reading the tea leaves like you are, Joe, it kind of says that they're not as comfortable with the pass rush as we would like to think that they are. Because when you talk about the fact that they went out and we're going to offer 2 2s and some 5s.
Yeah, now you're making stories up.
Whatever
Multiple ones.
Whatever it is.
You just don't want to admit it.
I meant to say 2 1s and a 5, but, here we are. So it does tell you that they're looking at that and they would like to bolster that pass rush a little bit.
Well, and I think based on last week, they needed to. Elliot, I thought Nolan played well. He had the penalty, which was unfortunate, but I thought he got some pressure and he got in there. I feel like with Jalix Hunt, it's more of he could be good, and he might be good, but I'm not sure he's great yet or even that good yet.
No, I agree. I mean, Nolan Smith, for what it's worth, while I do think Zadarius Smith is a better player right now, Nolan Smith was awesome against the run last year, and I think he ended up with double-digit sacks when you include the playoffs, or at least was close to it. So,
probably close.
I mean, he still he does have some level of success and resume at the NFL level. Jalix Hunt really doesn't have that. I mean, this time last year, we were talking about Jalix Hunt having a redshirt year. So the fact that he's even being discussed as a starter shows the how much he's improved. But you were right. Like, Zadarius Smith should be a better edge rusher than Jalix Hunt right now. I mean, you could argue Josh Uche is and should be a better edge rusher than Jalix Hunt right now. He is in the infancy of his career. So, yeah, they're going to need other guys to step up. But while we talk about the pass rush, we should probably bring up this name because it might be the most important player on the field. Jalen Carter. Like, all week we have talked about, should he have been suspended? Should he not? Should the Eagles sit him? Should they not? Well, go out today and have an awesome game. Like, I think there is more pressure on Jalen Carter today than anybody else on the Eagles. Go out and dominate today because you were an issue for the team last week. It was a distraction this week about what's going to happen to you. It's not the first time there's been this type of problem. He was benched against the Falcons last year. A different problem, obviously, but in terms of him being a distraction. So if he's going to want to be a $150 million guaranteed player, he's going to want to be Defensive Player of the Year, then go out and dominate today because the Chiefs' offensive line is not that good.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because perception becomes reality. Elliot, I know you and I think we shared a thought that the Eagles should have done more in terms of discipline. Obviously, the NFL did what they did, but they didn't, right? So now we're here, and they're about to play a game in about an hour from now, kick this thing off. If he goes out there today and has a dominant game, 2.5 sacks, and Hugh's got the shirt on where he's got his hand smashing Mahomes' face like he did in the Super Bowl, I think everyone's going to say, see, the Eagles handled it right. The message got through. And if the opposite happens and he is kind of quiet or another ridiculous penalty or whatever happens today, I think it's going to be fair to say, like, hey, maybe the Eagles didn't handle it right. So perception becomes reality. He's a huge part of every game, including this one. All right, coming up on the other side, we will get to the big ones, the 3 keys with ESP. Elliot's keys for an Eagles victory. That is up next. The Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
We could tell you what it's like to drive the Nissan Rogue and tell you all about its performance capabilities, like its VC turbo engine. It's I can go virtually anywhere type of freedom. Nice. But you don't have to take our word for it. Go drive it for yourself. You're up. Experience the power of the Nissan Rogue.
Drive the Nissan Rogue. Get 0% APR for 60 months on the 2025 Nissan Rogue, Pathfinder, or Murano. Visit your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today. For well-qualified buyers, example, 0 down payment, 60 months financing at $1,667 per month per thousand financed. Actual down payment may vary. Subject to Nissan Motor Acceptance Company credit approval, not all buyers qualify. Dealer contribution may affect actual price set by dealer. Contact dealer for details. Ends September 30th, 2025.
In Philly, we go all out for what we believe in. And at Lincoln Financial, we're no different. Since 2003, we've been proudly flying alongside Eagles fans everywhere. Since 1905, we've been helping Americans with retirement, protection, and benefit solutions built to last. 120 years in, and just like the birds, we have no plans on slowing down. Lincoln Financial, the name behind the link. Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2025.
Kick off game day the right way this season with Hers, the snack that's rooted in Philly. They've been a hometown favorite for nearly 8 decades and counting. So when you say their first team all flavor, you can taste it. Hers runs a deep roster of unbelievable flavors like zesty, sour cream and onion, sweet and smoky honey barbecue, and slightly spicy jalapeno kettle chips. So next Birds game, you can't help but go for 2. Bags, that is. Hers, rooted in flavor.
Modern Group is your trusted authorized Hyundai forklift dealer in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, helping lift your team to victory. With trucks ranging from all types of sizes, let Modern be your Hyundai forklift provider. Modern Group also services and sells parts for all forklifts. And right now, Modern Group is hiring technicians. Signing bonus, great pay, benefits, and employee-owned. Join a winning team. Visit moderngroup.com for your forklift needs.
In this town, champions aren't born, they're built on the field and in care settings across the region. Brandon Graham here to tell you the Philadelphia Eagles and Jefferson Health are teaming up because they know precision matters, because every moment counts, and because care isn't just about what happens on game day, it's about showing up every day for every person in every neighborhood. We're one team with one goal, to care for this community together. Jefferson Health, champions of care.
Celebrate the Philadelphia Eagles' historic World Championship victory with the official fan jewelry collection from Jason of Beverly Hills. Shop everything from rings and necklaces to bracelets, earrings, and more. All inspired by the 2024 championship rings worn by the team. This exclusive collection honors the heart, grit, and glory of the Eagles' triumph on football's biggest stage. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of Eagles history. See the entire line now at jasonofbh.com/Eagles.
When it's game time for your business, trust Brady Plus to get you across the goal line. As a national distributor of janitorial, food service, and industrial packaging supplies, we equip your team with the right gear and the playbook to match. Fast delivery, reliable products, real pros who know the field. At Brady Plus, we don't just deliver boxes. We're calling winning plays. Visit BradyPlus.com. That's BradyPlus.com. Proud partner in sustainability of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Talking Eagles Chiefs tomorrow morning with Joe DeCamara and John Ritchie, WIP.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Eliot Shorr-Parks as we get set for a big one out in Kansas City. 4:25 kickoff. It is the game of the week on Fox. Brady and Burkhardt, of course, the call here on WIP with Merrill and Mike and Devin Caney. And now let's get to him. Let's get to Eliot Shorr-Parks' keys to the game. What you got, Eliot?
3 keys with ESP.
Well, of course, the keys to the game brought to you by United Tire. For the best tire prices anywhere, don't drive alone. Drive United. Eliot, what are we thinking today?
So number one key for me in this game is you got to handle the blitz. The Chiefs have a great player in Chris Jones. George Karlaftis is a great edge rusher, but that's not how they generate pressure. Steve Spagnuolo is one of the best blitzing defensive coordinators in the NFL. If you look at compared to the rest of the league, he blitzes more than almost every other team in the NFL. And just look at the past few games, the Chiefs versus the Eagles. In the Super Bowl, he blitzed them. In 2023, he blitzed Hurts. In 2022, he blitzed Jalen. And overall, Jalen is 21 of 36 with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 3 games against the Steve Spagnuolo blitz. Now, they've won 2 of those games. He's played really good, I would say, in 2 of them, and then won the one where he didn't. So they've still been able to have success. But today, in against a desperate Chiefs team, you can expect a lot of blitzes, and it's going to be on Hurts to be better against them than he has the past few matchups.
Well, and let's just go back to last week, right? First game with Hurts and Patullo. First half of the game, I think the Cowboys blitz only 3 times on 33 dropbacks for the Eagles. That was about less than 10% of the time, whatever it is, 10, 11%. Second half, though, Eliot, they dialed up 6 blitzes. They got 11 pressures. So it's a good key because we've seen in the past, when the Eagles handle the blitz well with Jalen, they're great. I mean, Hugh, we've seen it. When they handle it well. Last year they handled it well a lot. But when they don't, like 2 years ago, remember the Brian Johnson year, they struggled with it. And last week, I thought when the Cowboys brought pressure, the Eagles did not respond particularly great against pressure last week.
You know, part of that I think is probably because Landon Dickerson was still
he didn't look great.
Healing. Yeah, he was still healing from that, and you really didn't know how the Cowboys were going to attack you, and the fact that they were in that zone a lot that allowed Jalen to run. You know, if they're going to do that, then you take advantage of that. I don't think that this Spagnuolo defense is going to do a whole lot of that man-to-man today and allow Jalen to run all over the schoolyard.
Well, and the other part of that, too, we touched on it in the opening segment, but just being here at Arrowhead and having, covered games here, it's really loud. And a big part of blitz pickup is communication on the offensive line, communication between Jalen and the center, communication between Jalen and the receivers, and I'm sure they will go silent count and have those things, but communication pre-snap against the blitz is absolutely key, and especially with Steve Spagnuolo, what he is great at is making it look one way and then something else happens. He is elite at disguising it. So Jalen, I think, has become way better over the past 2 years, I would say, against the blitz. I think he is very smart pre-snap, but this is a big test for him today.
Well, and it goes back to your point, Eliot, a little while ago when we were talking about the offense and the responsibility and Patullo, kind of green in this, right? It's his second game as a coordinator on the road against Spagnuolo in Kansas City. Eliot, this is why you have a quarterback making $50+ million a year. It's why you rely on him. And, I think 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, obviously, it was like, all right, Jalen's still learning. He's still a young quarterback. We're in year 6 of his career now. I mean, this is why you have a franchise quarterback to kind of guide you through these tough moments today. It's a big one for Jalen Hurts. And not that every play's got to be perfect, but just getting them in the right spot against the blitz.
Well, and taking care of the ball.
Yes.
I mean, I think the most important number with Jalen every single game should be 0, which is 0 turnovers. When this team wins a turnover battle, they are literally almost impossible to beat. I can't think of the last time Jalen lost a game they lost a game where they won the turnover battle. Like, it just doesn't happen. So, again, those numbers in the last 3 games 21 of 36, low completion percentage, no touchdowns, but perhaps most importantly, the 2 interceptions. And I know in the Super Bowl the interception didn't kill him, but if they turn it over today against in a raucous environment against a Chiefs team that needs to win, like that's how things start to get out of control a little bit. So making sure when you're being blitzed, you're taking care of the ball is crucial.
Yeah, I think one to watch too is McDuffie, their slot corner, sometimes outside, sometimes inside. Spagnuolo blitzes him a lot. I remember the Super Bowl against the 49ers 2 years ago. That blitz he had, and he hit Purdy, and it kind of swung the game for the Chiefs. So he's one to watch in the slot. How about key number 2 today?
So number 2 for me is stopping Hollywood Brown deep. Look, Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, they're just not great players. They should not be able to beat you consistently up and down the field. It should not be 10, 11 yards at a time where they're getting open over the middle. What you got to stop him at is getting chunk plays. Last week, Hollywood Brown had 1 target deep. He caught it for a 49-yard catch, right? The Chiefs are getting, when they get those chunk plays, obviously it becomes easier to score because you don't have to get 10, 11, 12 plays to go down the field. Last year, Hollywood Brown, 6 targets in 2024 in 5 games that were over 20 yards. So when he is out there, they like to throw the ball deep to him. And so, to keep this Chiefs offense in check, you got to make sure they're not getting the chunk plays. And the only way they can really do that, they don't have a great running attack. Travis Kelce had a big play last week, but he's not going to do that consistently at this age anymore. It's Hollywood Brown. That's the guy that you got to stop from getting those chunk plays down the field.
16 targets last week for Hollywood Brown when the other guys went out, right? They were without Rashee Rice, Hugh, he's suspended, but then they lost Worthy early in the game. Brown is the guy now, right? So I want what would you guess they do today? Do you just let Quinyon cover him because he's their only real threat, or do you let it just be whatever side he lines up, and then sometimes he's on a dory?
Well, I would say if I'm in this game plan, and if I'm doing this game plan, I'm Andy Reid, and I'm trying to be creative and getting Hollywood Brown the ball, I would probably move him around a lot. I would probably put him in the slot sometimes. I would probably put him out at X and Y. I would do everything possible to get the better matchups that I desire. And that would be, if Quinyon's going to go with him, then you take the risk of, having somebody in the secondary making mistakes. So I think that they'll probably do a lot of stemming. What I mean by that, moving guys around, trying to get the favorable matchups that they want. That's how I would attack it.
Well, and there's a big part to what Hugh's saying about moving Quinyon around, too. Last year, Quinyon's rookie year, he played every single snap on the right side of the field. He did not move to the other side. Last week against the Cowboys was the first time in his career. Not only did he play both sides, it was almost a 50-50 split. So I would have Quinyon. I mean, I know Hollywood Brown is not the type of receiver where you think, okay, let's have Quinyon follow him. But there is an argument to do it today because Juju Smith-Schuster, he never gets targeted beyond 10 yards. They have, really nobody besides them, and even they're not that good. Now, the only issue with having Quinyon follow is there's pre-snap communication where a young defense has to do a lot of, okay, you're going to this side, this means this, you follow. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts when a cornerback follows a receiver, but I think today it could make sense to do.
So this came up last week on the pregame show before the game, right? We didn't know what they were going to do, and like you said, they ended up moving Quinyon around a little bit more than last year. And Ike brought that up, Hugh, that could be a thing, right? When you have a young defense, they have Makuba on the back end, they have Campbell, rookie players. Mm-hmm. How complicated is it to kind of have everyone moving around before the snap?
Well, you run the risk of somebody not understanding the assignment as the assignment changes. That's more so for, I would think, a veteran group that used to playing with one another and having guys back that can make those adjustments. That's what I said. If you're going to do that, if you're going to change this defense to the point where you're going to have guys, Quinyon Mitchell, moving with other guys, then you run the risk of throwing everything in the secondary in a tizzy, especially when you talk about a secondary, number one, that hasn't had a whole lot of time together, and number two, has some parts of it that we feel are kind of suspect. So now you're putting them in a position where the game gets locked in, and then somebody goes in motion, and it might change the way you cover. It might change the zone responsibilities. And do you really feel comfortable putting guys in position like that you really aren't comfortable playing man-to-man or being in one-on-one situations?
Elliot, it's a challenging one for Fangio because I think deep down it's logical to do it. But everything Hugh said, what Ike said to us last week, it does feel like a big concern when they move people around. Like you could get caught and then all of a sudden anyone could get a big touchdown if they're wide open.
Well, especially when you're going up against an elite play caller and an elite offensive play designer in Andy Reid. And then next week, not to look ahead from this game, but Sean McVay next week, right?
Yep.
Like they are going to go up against offensive coordinators that are head coaches that are really good at scheming stuff that tricks defenses. And Vic Fangio, obviously an elite defensive coordinator, but he is not somebody that does all types of crazy defensive schemes and designs to create the defense. Like they mostly get in their normal defense and they expect the players to execute. So if you're going to ask a defense now to move all around and do these different things, like they didn't even really do a lot of that last year. So now to try to do it this year with new players, and by the way, only in week 2. Like we haven't talked about that aspect of it. If this was week 14, 15, 16, then maybe you go, okay, these guys have gotten, 1,000+ snaps or whatever it is, 800 snaps together. Maybe you feel better. But the fact that it's early on in the season when they didn't play in the preseason games, by the way, and you're in a loud stadium, that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, and you mentioned next week the Rams. As I watched some of their game here, they're out nearly close to 400 yards midway through the fourth quarter. I know they're playing a bad Tennessee team, but it's a great coach and an explosive offense. So that's going to be a challenge next week too. All right, how about key number 3?
Number 3 is pick on Jalen Watson. We've talked about the Chiefs secondary, and they just don't have a lot of good players. Obviously, Trent McDuffie, one of the best corners in the entire NFL. Almost just stay away from that guy. Like, I'm not saying, you just completely ignore it, but Jalen Watson is someone that they can pick on. If you look at it, Devontae Smith caught the dagger in the Super Bowl on Watson. Last week, he gave up 3 catches, Jalen Watson did. So in the passing game where we saw Justin Herbert have success last week, like, I think a potential way to go about that is, like, sorry, AJ, if McDuffie's going to follow you, you're going to have to do another week of answering questions about not getting the ball, because throwing it at Jalen Watson, I think, is a recipe for success for this offense.
Yeah, Hugh, that's what you've been saying. I mean, not Watson in particular, but you've been saying let the game dictate where the ball goes rather than the AJ thing. And that all sounds good. And if they have someone to attack, then attack that guy. I mean, that's what every team, like, if they have an Adoree, to use that frame of reference, go get him.
Yeah, but you also have to take what the defense gives you, because this is still early in the season. A lot of teams are going to attack you in a way that you played last year. Not necessarily that's what you want to do. You want to try to evolve that a little bit. That's why it's important to get the passing game going. But you want to see how Kansas City's going to come out. You want to see how they're going to come out and play you. So I don't think it's imperative that you start the game by throwing the ball all over the schoolyard, especially if that's really not your identity. You know what I mean? Let the game come to you. Figure out how they're going to attack you. Figure out if they're going to try to blitz you or not. Figure out if they're going to try to play zone or man-to-man against you. Figure out how much they feel that AJ is going to be a part of the passing game or how healthy he is. So you just have to figure all of that stuff out at the beginning of the game.
Well, when it comes to the scripting the first 15 plays too, right? Because we've touched on that a few times in the show. I think last week when you're going up against Dallas defense, it's week 1, new defensive coordinator. Now, Matt Eberflus has tape out there. He's not a new coach, but new coach with those players. You can almost understand, all right, scripting the first 15 plays is going to be tough because we don't know what they're going to be bringing. And there is some truth to that with Spagnuolo as well. Like we said, he is good at disguising blitzes. He's going to have a new game plan coming off of the Super Bowl. I am sure watching his defense get torched in that game, like he's a very prideful coach. He's going to come out with his best A game. But there is tape on Spagnuolo. So, like, in today's game, you can come out with a preconceived plan of what you want to do. And I think it's easier to do that than it was last week. So what they come out and how they do it, do they come out and are they running the ball? Are they coming out and throwing it? Like, you can at least guess a little more what you're going to get from this defense than you did last week.
Well, you mentioned there's tape on Spagnuolo, Elliot. There's also, it's a rare matchup in that for a non-division, non-conference game, this is the 5th straight year they've played each other. And I know it's different coordinators all over the place, but it's Sirianni's team and Hurts's offense against Spagnuolo for the 5th straight year. It was 2021 regular season, Super Bowl 22, regular season 23, Super Bowl last year, and then here we go with the 5th one. So they do have some familiarity. Let's hit one thing that we haven't spent much time on, Elliot, on the show today, but it obviously has been a thing all week. You first told us about it on our show, and then you broke the news with the afternoon show. No Dallas Goedert today. Elliot, how big is this? And do you think it's going to hurt them more in the pass game or the run game?
I think it's going to hurt him in both. I mean, Goddard last week had the most targets on the team. He had the most catches on the team. And if Jalen is not going to want to throw it deep, Well, that's where AJ and Devontae mostly run. Like the Goddard is the underneath option for Jalen. So not having him out there, I think in the passing game does hurt. Now, Calcaterra is a good receiving tight end. He has shown that, I think, in his career. But the issue is he's not a good blocking tight end. Now, Goddard in the running game is a big loss. They run the ball considerably better with him out there than when it's another tight end or when he's not out there on the field. So it's definitely a big loss. The good news is I expect him to be out there next week against the Rams. But for today in Kansas City, not having him, I do think is a blow to the offense.
Yeah, well, that's good news that it sounds like it's not a long-term thing and he could be back next week. But he was their leading receiver last week by a lot. I mean, I think it's 7 catches in the game, and that's a lot to replace.
Yes, it is. But like I said, during the season, man, your biggest asset is your availability. And right now he's not available.
Issue,
yeah. And your two big guns they're out there. You got to try to get them the football. Now I know it was a little bit easier with the tight end and everything, and Dave talked about catching the ball across the middle. But now you're probably going to have to put the ball in the air a little bit more just to loosen up that run defense of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, and then there's also the run game, Elliot. I mean, he's a good run blocker. He's one of the better run blocking tight ends in the NFL. And you see some stats over the years from when he plays and when he doesn't play. They usually find a way. I mean, the Eagles win most of the time anyway with Sertz and Sirianni, but the run game typically struggles when he's not in there compared to when he is in there.
Yeah, 100%. Talking to Saquon Barkley this week, and just big picture about the running game, he said, defenses would be fools to not coming to a game and try to stop the run first. Like that is what obviously the Eagles feel they should do and what we have seen coordinators do. So when the defense is coming in trying to stop what you're best at, not having a key part of that is clearly a big blow to the team and their ability to run the ball.
Yeah, and last week it was kind of a weird night in terms of rushing the football because, Elliot, I thought in the first half it was pretty good. I mean, Shipley was running the ball well. I think Saquon, it was 10 for 49 the first half of the game. And I don't know how much to factor in that delay just threw everything off, but once they got out of the delay, it felt like Saquon's carries were like 1 yard, -1. It felt like there was no push and no run game after the delay and when they came out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. One, it's week 1, right? Like they did not play in the preseason game, so there's that part of it. I think the delay, we're probably overhyping it a little bit at this point. Like it shouldn't have been the reason the offense falls apart for a quarter and a half, but the delay did happen. And then the loss of Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson leaving, Brett Toth being in there. You're now talking about if you're running the ball up the middle. Last year, you had Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton in there. For the second half or whenever it was that Landon left, you had Brett Toth and Tyler Steen, 2 guys that were backups on this team last year. Brett Toth was on the practice squad. So just personnel-wise, you did not have, the level of player, but also just like the size of the players. I mean, Dickerson and Becton were 2 of the biggest, if not probably the biggest set of starting guards in the NFL. And Tyler Steen is not a small man, but he is not a large offensive guard, and Brett Toth is also not as big as Dickerson either. So you just missed some of the size there in the middle.
No doubt about it. All right, coming up on the other side, our predictions on the game. We'll also hit the inactives to keep everyone up to date who is not suiting up, including a guy that was one of their first signings or one of the ones that we talked about a lot during the offseason, not suiting up for the second straight game. It is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, Eagles fans, Verizon's kicking off big savings, scoring a touchdown with low prices locked in for 3 years guaranteed on my plan. Get a single line for a low price of just $50 a month when you switch and bring your phone on unlimited welcome with auto pay plus taxes and fees. It's a deal that'll have you doing an end zone dance. Don't get flagged for high prices. Huddle up at your local Verizon store today. You'll be tackling savings in no time. Verizon, the official 5G partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. $20 monthly credit applied over 36 months. Sometimes with congestion. Unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms apply. See store for details.
Clogged toilet, leaky faucet on 1. Ready?
Uh-oh, you got a plumbing problem blitzing through the line. Time to audible and call in the pros. Roto-Rooter is your go-to defense for clogs, leaks, and any plumbing fix. Call the right play and download the Roto-Rooter app and easily book an appointment and receive exclusive service discounts. Touchdown! Don't get sacked by plumbing issues. Call in Roto-Rooter, your MVP for plumbing solutions. Download the app today and score big on savings.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
At Hand & Stone, you get what you really need. Fewer messages and more massages. Right now, with the special introductory offer at just $79.95, you can disconnect and experience a restorative massage or a rejuvenating facial. When the digital world has you drained, let licensed experts help restore you. With over 600 Hand and Stone locations nationwide, relief is always nearby. So press pause on the stress and book your escape today at handandstone.com or just stop by your local spa.
Dear Eagles fans, Toyota's a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL. The Toyota Corolla and all-hybrid Camry make big plays with style and efficiency. RAV4 is a versatile game changer. Highlander's got room for your whole squad. And the rugged Tacoma and Tundra control the line of scrimmage. Visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
This Eagles season, get in the game at Acme. Enter their Swoop In and Win sweepstakes for your chance to win Eagles tickets, autographed jerseys, helmets, or more. Download the Acme app or visit acmemarkets.com/swoop in and win for more details. Plus, save 5% when you shop on game days wearing your Eagles apparel. Acme makes sure Eagles fans have all their game day needs. Don't miss the football items of the week. Edie's Ice Cream, 2 for $6, or Nestle Ice Cream drumsticks for just $5.99. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
At Virtua Health, we're redefining heart care.
Our Heart Rhythm team at Virtua is really working at the forefront of technology. There's constantly new advances.
Like cardiac clinical trials and breakthrough treatments for atrial fibrillation.
Treating atrial fibrillation with ablation and treating it early allows for the best outcomes for our patients. We can make a meaningful difference in patients' lives.
Virtua Health, here for complex heart care, here for good. More at virtua.org/hereforgood.
Pennsylvanians are creating their own soundtrack. Thanks to PA Lottery Scratch-Offs, excitement's back. Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, no matter your choice, scratching's always in order. With big top prizes and second chance drawings, thrills await. They're out there calling. If it's excitement you seek and you're looking for action, play the PA Lottery. And keep on scratching. Must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
Celebrate the Philadelphia Eagles' historic World Championship victory with the official fan jewelry collection from Jason of Beverly Hills. Shop everything from rings and necklaces to bracelets, earrings, and more. All inspired by the 2024 championship rings worn by the team. This exclusive collection honors the heart, grit, and glory of the Eagles' triumph on football's biggest stage. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of Eagles history. See the entire line now at jasonofbh.com/Eagles.
Breaking down Eagles Chiefs tomorrow, 2 to 6 on Ike, Spike, and Fritz, 94 WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Eliot Shorr-Parks. Game coming up, 4:25 kickoff in Kansas City. All right, quickly before we get to some predictions here, we can have a few thoughts on some of the early games in the NFL. And obviously we have one full game in the book. That was the Packers over the Commanders on Thursday night. Elliot, the more I watched the first slate of games today, the more I know it came up early in the show. I do think the Packers are a team we got to keep our eye on, and that it feels to me like they're real for this reason. Week 1, the Commanders' offense looked kind of like it did last year. They scored and moved the football, and then they got stymied by the Packers. And then, Elliot, I'm watching today because last week the Packers dominated the Lions. The Lions couldn't move the ball at all. Mm-hmm. The Lions today, when they're not playing the Packers, look just like they did last year. They got 45 points on the board. The common denominator seems to be like that Packers team's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I think the Packers check every single box to be a legit Super Bowl contender and to be the Eagles' biggest threat in the NFC. They have a quarterback in Jordan Love that not only has postseason experience, he's had that awesome game against Dallas. He has an ability to be special. He can make big throws. He can run. They have good receivers. I wouldn't say they have that legit number one receiver, but they have a really deep collection of receivers, and especially when Christian Watson returns later in the season, they'll be even better. They have a good running back in Josh Jacobs. They have a good offensive line. And then you bring up the defense. I mean, Micah Parsons changes everything for that defense. They already had a good defense, but when he's your top guy, that makes everybody's life easier. So you add all that up with the fact that, they have momentum from making the trade. They have a legitimate home field advantage. The Eagles have to go to Lambeau Field later in the year as opposed to them coming here for potentially that number 1 seed. Like, everything points to the Packers being legit and a legit problem for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think they are. They might be the biggest competition in the NFC. We'll see how it plays out. The other thing, Hugh, that we're noticing watching all the games in here, the Giants and Cowboys are in a shootout today, right? It looks like right now it's 30-27 Giants with about 2.5 minutes to go. Dallas going to get the football back. But Elliot brought this up earlier. Last week, we were like, well, maybe that Cowboys defense isn't that bad, right? Because the Eagles didn't particularly move the ball great.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants, who I think we'd all agree are not a good team and do not have a good quarterback at this stage of Russell Wilson's career. Russell Wilson has 372 yards passing on the Cowboys today. So it does make you wonder, like, what was last week? Was it just a week 1 game? Because the Eagles didn't throw the ball on them that well. The Giants, who have a lesser passing game by a lot, are throwing the ball all over the Cowboys.
You're never as good as bad as you look in the first couple weeks of the season. I remember last year, we were talking about the Green Bay Packers earlier. Remember last year, the Saints got off to a 2-0
Yeah,
start.
but the Packers.
I'm just saying,
Packers have real
I'm not
talent.
comparing them to the Packers. All I'm saying is the Saints got off to a 2-0 start, so you have to keep everything in perspective. I know they look great. Micah Parsons looked like he's comfortable in the position that he's in there, and he feels like he's at home. A lot of football left to play, people, and you have to take you have to factor that in. Nobody's as good or as bad as they look in the first couple weeks of the season.
Well, the other off of that, because sometimes week 1 can fool you, and then the team comes back to earth in week 2. I mean, last week everyone's like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers, look at him at 40 years old." Today he's getting beat up at home by the Seattle Seahawks. So
beat up.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I'm watching him throw interceptions up here on the screen. There's a lot. I mean,
Jets pick, got me.
Yeah, Elliot. Hugh took the Jets money line, so he's struggling today.
I'm sorry to hear him lose $2. I'm sure he'll be able to recover from that
sarcasm.
one. But in terms of like the week 1 thing, I heard all week the Chiefs look so bad in Brazil. Maybe. Let's see. Like, it was 1 game. So I still think, again, as we, focus on this game, like, it's a really, really tough spot against a desperate team. I wouldn't put too much into that week 1 performance by the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I just mentioned the Steelers, right? The Steelers won last week. They moved the ball all over the field. And it was like, see, look, the Steelers might be good. And Rodgers might have turned the clock back. Well, they look like garbage today. So, Elliot, the point you've made all week on the Chiefs, I think the Eagles are in a better spot, and I think because of the Chiefs receivers down, the Eagles are going to be fine today. But the point you've made on, hey, let's not totally write the Chiefs off yet. They're coming back home. You're right on that. Like, I think it is too early to say the Chiefs are as down as some people think. I mean, I've seen people this week say they're done. I mean, we could write them off as a Super Bowl team. It's come on. I mean, they've been the Super Bowl basically every year the last 4 or 5 years.
And I would say, too, we've talked a lot about their receivers. And I agree, the receivers are not good. Might be the worst set of starting receivers in the NFL this week. That is not enough for me to feel like they have no chance to win this game when all week all I heard was, Adoree Jackson is terrible. You have to bench him. He's no good. Like, Dak Prescott moved the ball all over the Eagles last week. And if it wasn't for drop passes, the Eagles might have lost that game. So the 2024 Eagles would have no problem with this group of receivers. Let's see what the 2025 Eagles do with different personnel, a new team. Let's see how they handle them. They're not good receivers. Like, I agree, they're not. But we don't know how good this secondary is yet.
Well, we don't, Hugh. I mean, here's the thing. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks, and we saw this last year, to get to know what we know.
Getting to know you.
We make these predictions, and we're going to make our predictions coming up in a minute here.
Pain.
But we don't know. I mean, we don't know how good this team is yet. They might be just as good as last year, or they might not come close. We don't know yet.
They might be. And the thing that I am hanging my hat on is that Jalen Carter wasn't out there. And, I think Dave Spadaro said something earlier about how the Kansas City Chiefs secondary is affected by the pass rush. Pass rush and coverage goes hand in hand. So I'm thinking and I'm hoping that with Jalen Carter out there, that raises the level of everybody's game around him, and it makes the secondary look better because he is a force in the middle. He's a force to be reckoned with, and to have him out there today wrecking things, I think that's going to help us get a better idea about what this defense looks like.
Well, I agree with that.
Quickly on Jalen Carter, though. Like, he didn't play last week, which means he has not played a competitive football game since the Super Bowl. Like, we saw the rust last week on this Eagles team and on teams around the league. Jalen Carter, he is a special talent. Maybe he will come out and dominate today. But it's his first game of the year. So we'll see if he's able to come out and do that.
That's a fair point, and it's hot, so we'll see where his stamina is, because they're going to need him to play, like last year, a good amount of snaps. All right, let's get to it. Our predictions on the game as we get set for one of the biggest Week 2 games I can ever remember, the Eagles and the Chiefs. It's a 4:25 kick. We're going to hand it to Merrill, Mike, and Devin coming up in a few minutes. Elliot, why don't you start us off here? You have said the entire week this is an acceptable loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. That is if it is a loss. What do you think is actually going to happen in the game? Elliot, give us your prediction. How does it play out?
Yeah, I think it's an acceptable loss, and I think it's a loss. I do not think the Eagles are going to win the game today. I think early in the season, the spot matters more than the roster. I think being away in the home opener against Kansas City and against a team that has to win the game, like, it's that simple. If today was the Super Bowl, I would pick the Eagles. If today was Week 14, I would pick the Eagles. If it was a game when the Eagles had lost last week, I'd probably pick the Eagles, but that's not the situation. So I'm excited to see how they handle it today, see how this roster is in a big spot, but I will take Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a must-win game.
Score?
27, yeah, good call. 27-24 Chiefs.
All right, that would be if they lose a close game, again, devil's in the details, right? Like you've said this all week.
You can't get blown out. You can't get blown out. Yeah, that's the one thing. Yep.
Yeah, because you said a lot, Elliot, this week before we get to Hugh and I giving our predictions. You've said a loss in Kansas City's probably not going to change your opinion on the team. And I think most people would agree with you on that. If they lose, like you're predicting 27-24, I don't think it's going to crumble the way we think about them. If they get blown out, though, like any game, you get blown out, that changes the way people think.
Yeah, because then it's like, how did they handle this spot? How did this group of young players? And again, how they lose does matter. Like if Adoree Jackson is awful, then you go, okay, that's a really big concern moving forward. If the passing game's not good for a second week in a row, then that becomes something that we talk about. But if they lose today because Patrick Mahomes is special and Chris Jones dominates and Travis Kelce has another 40-yard touchdown like he did last week, I think you just kind of tip your hat and say, you know what, we're 1-1. We're home next week. There's a lot of football to be played. It's not the end of the world.
Luckily, I don't think we're going to get there. I think the Eagles are going to win this game today, 24-23. I think they're going to win the game in Arrowhead because a couple of reasons. Number one, they don't have to worry about, the worst part of the team right now, the most concerning part for me is the pass defense. And I don't think the Chiefs right now are set up to take advantage of it. I also think it's a little bit of a thing we haven't touched on much, but I thought it affected both teams coming back from Brazil last year. That trip, that long trip.
That lag.
The whole thing. It just was a weird week when the Eagles came back last week and they kind of sleptwalked through that game against the Falcons. I know the Chiefs will be up for this game. They won't sleepwalk from that perspective, but physically it could take something out of them. Plus, it's really hot down there, so I throw that in the mix. And I think the Eagles' defense with Carter back is just going to have too many answers. I think Jalen protects the football 24-23. The Eagles find a way. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs again. Hugh Douglas, what do you got?
It's funny because we all have similar scores, but we have different outcomes of this game happening. I don't think that, for us to sit there and rely on the passing game being what we need it to be, it's probably not realistic, when you talk about the timing and everything. So I'm going 27-24. Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's a little bit tighter game than that.
We're all close. We're all within a field goal or a point or a couple points. It should be a great one. Merrill and Mike and Devin coming up on the call. That wraps up the Verizon pregame show. Remember to stay tuned after the game for the PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems postgame show with Rob Ellis and Tom Kelly, TK as well for the halftime show. For Hugh Douglas, Eliot Shorr-Parks, studio director Mike Angelina, producer Paul Baroli Jr., engineer Andrew Swank, studio assistants Dan Wilson and Ryan Straub. I'm Joe Giglio. Now stay tuned for Merrill and Mike as they bring you all the action on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94